Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well today. For whatever reason, again, my tablet does not want to go live and show me, so I am at a standstill of whatever. I I just don't understand why it works and why it doesn't. Sometimes it's actually kind of frustrating because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and there's no real reason behind it. I tried troubleshooting this thing and just it's not want to do what it's supposed to do. So what are you gonna do, right? All right, well, let's go right into this stuff. We might have some guests, we might not. We'll find out if they decide they want to come or not. But ultimately, let's go ahead and go right into what we're doing here. Um, One simple thing is the market did go up. Like I said, we hit our supply zone up in these areas here. Let's jump into this here real quick. We hit our supply area here with the 50 period moving average. We are selling off into our area that I'd say we'd probably see a little support kick in on this daily zone. We did sell through it, but it's looking like it's starting to find some support here. The biggest thing though is this: is that we need to see some major buying stepping in to really actually push it back up. Right now, it's just kind of going sideways here. If you're still short from up in these levels here, then just make sure that you've taken your first or if it's not second position off so that you're good. Um, the other side behind it as well as this is that in regards to some of the things that we're doing here, give me one second. I also want to invite everybody, if you can, if you're watching or listening, if you could share and like and post on your other social medias, I'd appreciate that. I am literally giving gold here, even though I may not be the most entertaining guy in the world. Literally giving you gold, like it's literally gold here. So um, hope you guys enjoy it and like it, subscribe it. I'd appreciate it. Um, Regarding some of the news that we're seeing in today, it's been really, really interesting, primarily because of what we're actually seeing in the markets. So um, I would encourage you guys to go check out some of the news regarding Binance. Binance did get hacked yesterday for about $100 million altogether. They were hacked for a lot more, but they mitigated a lot of the other issues with it and basically just did triage. And so if you consider about the last burn within Binance of Binance coin, that was pretty, it was I think it was a little bit less than the actual, around the same amount of the last burn that they had that was pretty much hacked. So that's one thing to consider. I think is really interesting that what we're seeing with Binance. On the other side behind as well as this is that when you consider where it actually is, right, comparative to where it kind of could be, Binance is sitting pretty darn good in comparison, right? Like we saw a sell off this morning because of the non-farm news, which was following the S&P 500, but ultimately it put in a higher high, a higher low here, and now we're starting to mark higher highs here. So it's really interesting to see what's happening with Binance versus Ethereum here, as well as you can see here that we're kind of at the mids here, right? And with Bitcoin, we're at the lows here, right? Whereas Binance, it's at the highs here, right, of the sell-off. And you can even see here we had a huge big buyer wick that came in, and now we are testing the actual SMAs here to see if it's going to continue higher. So Binance is it's just like I keep saying it over and over. They are a strong, strong community. They do a lot of good. I mean, just they're well ran as a company, and they are it's just a strong, just a strong company. I mean, it's just a really strong company. Um, so something to be looking at. Give me 1 second. You can see here that we are also moving in a way that is really interesting with the S&P 500, whereas we saw with everything else that it was pretty much kind of going sideways. We're seeing the S&P 500 almost put in. We'll see what happens. I don't think that this lower high is going to hold. I think we're going to see a sell-off here. So just primarily because I don't see any real buyer wicks coming in at all. I don't, and at the tops I see seller wicks. So to me, that's just indicating that they want to push it down, um, and probably to the next level of this 3607 area here. We did come down to the areas that we were talking about here over the week. I know I know that the S&P 500 went up over Monday and Tuesday, like I said. So we should see this come back down again to these lower levels as well, as we continue trending down. Um, what's going to be really interesting is on the weekly chart, that's going to put a really big wick, really big wick. And so when the when the next week comes in, um, you'll see that the that the 8 period moving average on that weekly is going to be down in this area here. So it's going to be really interesting to see as we move forward what actually happens. So be ready for that, guys. Again, we do have that 200 period moving average sitting right here on that weekly. So be looking for that. Now I want to bring up some stuff in the news that's been really interesting. Besides the whole entire um, Binance hack, right, which was pretty crazy. You also saw within it, there's been some news in regards to actually how to go through and preempt basically or at least figure out a way to protect the public. And so there's this article here that I found on CoinDesk, and it's based off of opinion, and I want to bring this up here because it's pretty cool. Here we go. I need to put that in here real quick as a disclaimer here, because I'm not a financial advisor. This is all educational and for entertainment purposes only. So here you guys go here real quick. So we actually have for the state area here, you basically have and I don't know how to put it, but basically these guys are, the guy's name is Adel Nazarian. He's the CEO. He's the CEO of the American Blockchain, PAC, who basically whose the advisory board is led by W. Scott or Stornetta, and a physicist who was basically one of the inventors of the blockchain technology. And basically what he says is there's a way to be able to set up protocols or ways to set up procedures so that you can actually protect people within the blockchain, but then at the same time go through and be able to not stop innovation and allow it to run freely. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with this group of people as they move forward. I find it very interesting that we're seeing a lot of this, a lot of the market right now react the way that we're seeing, just primarily because, I've said this before, how the government, the U.S. government, is a little hands off, maybe because they see this as the next technology to really take off, so they don't want to come in with too much litigation just yet. They're keeping it very vague and keeping things moving sideways. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Also, the other part behind it as well as this is as we keep moving forward, right, we're going to see guardrails for the public. That's just how it is within within the public stream as we check things. How you doing, Brinks? Hope you're doing well.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Things are good.
Yes, sir.
Good, 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 good. So I'm basically just talking about how government is moving toward kind of like safeguards, but they're actually bringing in some really, really interesting people to do it. Basically, the people who pretty much created the blockchain. I believe the blockchain was pretty much created right back in the 50s and 60s, and then it was 50s and I believe it was in the 50s and 60s. I forget. I was reading through it about it, but it finally just caught right after the Great Recession, right? The great financial drop that we saw in 2008, right? So when we saw the Satoshi paper come out. So it's just interesting to sit there and see. Now you're seeing a lot of these other guys, and a lot of them are, older guys, like, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And so it's really interesting to sit there and see them come in and say, you know what, there's ways they actually step in and actually protect the blockchain or protect the people in a pretty simple manner without inhibiting innovation within the Web3 slash blockchain slash cryptocurrency world. So it's a really interesting thing to sit there and see that.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are your thoughts on that? You think it can be done? You think it's just maybe another hand that the government's trying to step in and trying to get their hands all over it?
But whenever it's something, you know my views on the government, Pedro. Whatever it's a question about is the government just trying to do something to benefit them over the country. I'm always gonna say it's to benefit them.
Yeah, oh, I would just love to hear your view on that. I mean, it's something.
I don't fully know the situation, so I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit more
Ba-
about what's going on?
Basically, it's just a group of people that basically created the blockchain. And when I say blockchain, I mean like the idea behind the blockchain, everything that correlates with it, and actually it moving forward, right? Uh, it's a group of people. Um, Basically, here it is. This guy here, he's the CEO of the American Blockchain Pack, whose advisory board is led by W. Scott Cernetta, a physicist who was one of the inventors of the blockchain technology, and Alex Alara, co-founder and CEO of American Blockchain Initiative, recently published a federal legislation roadmap in magazine National Interest Techland. They compiled a list of 10 legislation proposals to protect investors without inhibiting innovation in the emerging blockchain sector. We are drilling down into the specifics of each of these at the national interest here and there at Real Clear Markets and now in the op-ed. One good way to protect the public without unduly burdening the blockchain sector would be to allow companies to elect to the regulated by companies to elect to be regulated by the Community Futures Trading Commission digital commodity exchange and regime. So it's just really interesting to see what they're trying to do.
So,
And
so I don't fully know what they're trying to pass. Are they trying to make it so the crypto is no longer able to be targeted by the SEC and
no, so
be considered a commodity?
no,
Because I've heard about that.
No, so what they're basically trying to do is go through and set up a way for the community to be able to go and be, um, what's the word I want to look? They're basically looking for a way for it to be governed by the U.S. government, right? To protect the common grandmother who wants to get into blockchain and cryptocurrency, but then at the same time not hinder innovation within. And so they wrote a paper, and it's kind of a build to be able to go and say, listen, this is a way for you to go ahead and do some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much like a way that even though it's on the blockchain, if you accidentally send your crypto to the wrong place, you can get it back because it'll be regulated.
So basically,
And also so that there's like almost so that there's current banking measures in place to keep people safe. Just as long as they're not doing anything too crazy in crypto.
right.
Oh! I do like that idea.
Pretty much, yeah. And I think that's what they're trying to do, right? It's basically
Mm-hmm.
allow there to be safeguards, right? Basically, like the bumper. Remember when you were a kid, you used to go bowling and they used to have the bumper rails, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, creating something like that for DeFi and or for the CeFi as well. So it's really interesting to see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Another news article that I find very interesting is the fact is that Binance got hacked yesterday.
Yeah,
And
I heard about that.
and the whole entire BSC basically shut down. I mean, like everything, just boom. It was eerie. It was so weird to see nothing going on with all the degens and everything. It was so peculiar to me because you sit there and like, you can hop in anywhere, right? And
Mm-hmm.
everybody is either like attacking each other or whoop whoop, pump it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really weird to see what we saw yesterday. I do not understand why this is not wanting to work. It's like the most frustrating thing. It's like sometimes this thing wants to work. Sometimes I just finally went live because I was trying to get this thing up and running, so it would show me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't want. I don't know why for the life of me. So, and if somebody could help me out with it, that would be great. Anyways, let's see if I can do it this way. So Binance. So talk to me about what do you think about the Binance hack and the whole entire thing that came along with it? Because I mean, we saw a sell off, right? We saw a major sell off, but then after that, we saw some major buying that came in. I mean, if you look at Binance in relationship to a lot of the other places or a lot of the other coins, I mean they are strong as a bull, man. I mean, look at it like this. So here's the S&P 500. Okay, from this morning from the non-farm. The non-farm is basically a thing where they just check people's. It's a report. It's basically a report within the traditional markets. And typically, if it goes really well, we see a rally. If it doesn't go really well, we see a drop. Well, I kept bringing up the fact that during the week that we were moving up. If they're moving up, most likely it's going to come down, right? The big report of the week was going to be on Friday. And so they
Mm-hmm.
rallied it up, went sideways, now they're dropping it. Now you can see here in the chart that we're seeing basically S&P 500 starting to fall, kind of follow this 8 and 20 period moving average as we're actually starting to go sideways here. I think it's going to drop here, right, for the next few hours as we keep moving. Now we can see here that this is the initial push up, right? Then we saw the drop and then it continued down, right, on the open. So bring this up because when you look at Bitcoin and you look at Ethereum, okay, Bitcoin had this drop here, boom, and then now we've been seeing it kind of go sideways, right, in this area here, but it's still towards the lower part of the drop. Then if you look at Ethereum is showing a little bit more strength where we're seeing higher highs and higher lows, right? And it's about the mid drop area where it dropped, which is about right here, right? Now if you look at it, but BNB, check out BNB. BNB is almost at the top of the drop here, and this is very interesting to sit there and see them this strong after what happened yesterday. And I feel like that it's a weird I would have thought that we would have seen a bigger sell-off on BNB, but to see how they actually handled this, and the fact is that they only, I think it was it 1.2 billion dollars altogether. They, I believe, had hacked, and then, but they were able to mitigate to about 100 million, which is what the last burn was for BNB. So it's very interesting to sit there and see that, right? Or what are your thoughts on it?
So sorry, I had a call I had to pick up. What was that very last part, Pedro?
I was just saying, what are your thoughts on it?
But like people made it sound like it dropped like crazy. But I was looking at the chart and it looks like it maybe dropped like $2.
Yeah.
And it already corrected. So I think Binance did a good job of saving it from having a massive dump.
I agree with that. I think the same thing. I mean, and they did a phenomenal job at it. I think they did a really good job by closing everything down, mitigating, and making sure that they were able to blacklist a lot of that stuff. I find it so interesting, man. Oh, Brian's here. Hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. And yourself? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing. We got Brinks with Vetter here as well, or Vetter and Skylabs here. So just talking about the Binance situation that happened yesterday. I think they handled it so well. And I was just going over the charts, and when you compare them to Bitcoin and Ethereum chart and the S&P 500, the best chart there is, and today is literally the Binance chart. So I just think it's crazy to sit there and see that.
Pedro.
Yep.
I just sent you something on Telegram. It's that Bitcoin thing that I made fooling around like back in the middle of summer, and it's still following that.
Oh, that's awesome. It's actually nice, man. I should be seeing that right now. That looks actually really good. I'll point that out here right now. Yeah, this is this brings TA analysis of potential what we're going to see within the market. And I think he's done pretty good at it. You can see here that this right here is where he started right here, and he's kind of been following it quite a bit. And now we'll see if it can. Now we'll see it go up. I don't think we're going to see that rally, but we'll find out. We will find out. It's a nice little setup.
It's a 50-50 chance, but that would be pretty crazy.
Yeah,
because pretty much I just followed the 2018 from its bottom, right around when people were saying its potential that Bitcoin bottom.
Yeah,
and then I just painted that up under it. So that would be pretty crazy if it pretty much follows 2018.
Well, I think we can kind of gauge. It might, we don't know. I mean, if this does move forward at this point, the thing that I'm concerned about is that they're going to bring hysteria into the market, and I'm talking about the major players, right? I've showed you guys both the Jim Cramer video of the manipulation, right, and what they do. So I could sit there, see them putting this back up, making this not allowing this to go a higher high. And then dropping it, right? Because if you look at Bitcoin during these periods, it sold off half of its value when it hit the original peak, right?
Yeah.
Back in 2008, or not 2008, but the last previous one where it dropped, right? But before it dropped, it cut off about 3/4 of it? No, maybe two. It was 2/3, right? It went from 20,000 to like 8,000, and then jumped back up to 10, 11,000, right? And then it continued down. Right. And I feel like that they might do that. Like we've lost about 2/3 of its value. I can see them rallying this back up into this level right here. Right. And then seeing it come back down where you have this euphoric feeling of, oh, the bear market's over. But now that the institutions are involved in it, they need orders, and they have clients that need to fill those orders. So they would, be able to short the market and establish their true positions by pushing it up and then crashing it again. So it's this weird time of like, I just don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Brian? And also thoughts on BSC closing and getting hacked yesterday.
I put a thread in my announcement channel about it. I mean, I just think that with all this happening, like with all the hysteria and everything, it was what it was. I mean, they took it under control, and I thought that was based. What I took from it was I saw people in Telegram communities last night that I haven't seen in months. People that went dark when the market went red, and it really seemed like it reactivated and reignited for a lot of people that haven't been around. It brought them back. It gave them a reason to come and check in on the space and see what was going on. So I suppose a positive that I pulled from the whole situation, a couple positives I pulled from the whole situation was that, one, people have confidence in Binance. Like they took care of it very well, and the price impact was minimal. And then on top of that, it seemed like it really reactivated it took some people out of hibernation in a sense. And with all this hysteria, like when you look at the Luna hysteria, when that happened, it crushed, it decimated the market. That was so not priced in. It's not even funny. If this same thing happened when BTC was at all-time high, it would have punished the markets. But all this is already priced in, right? And so even though this bearish news comes out, it doesn't matter. People are still accumulating. It didn't even affect the price of BTC. I mean, it dropped BNB $10, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't even think it, dude. I don't even think it did, right? This is actually, it went from the 86 all the way down. Oh, you're right, $10.
$10,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
$10.
Yeah. Like,
So
right.
and it goes to show that everyone is bullish on the market. Like even if there's lots of fear, the smart people are greedy right now, and they're buying every cheap opportunity. They're buying it. And for example, when the hacker stole all this money, what did he do with it? He bridged it over to other chains, and then he used it to collateralize US, stablecoin loans, which essentially is the same thing you do when you take a leverage position on exchange. Exchange just doesn't have the type of volume that the exchange isn't going to let you put down $15 million on a leverage trade on 10x, right? He went to these lending protocols and used the Ethereum as leverage, essentially to long ETH, right? He's giving them the ETH so that they can go borrow it out to somebody else, and he's taking the stable coin. He'll exchange that stablecoin back in and make out like a bandit. So even the hacker is bullish on the market, and I suppose
that's exactly. And I want you to talk about it, because I think one of the things that people don't realize is he didn't cash out. Like, he didn't cash out and bounce. Like, he went through, he put it in a way where he can make money. Now, I think he set up in a way, and we even talked about this, that it could even be kind of state run. I mean, we don't know, right?
The thing that makes, absolutely. No, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and I want you to hold on to what you're about to say, because I'm going to bring this up. The hacker sat there and literally is holding on to this. He's collecting interest. He's going long. Like, he's not sit there going, okay, where we've seen in the past where a lot of these hacks happen, they sit in a vault, right? And then you start seeing it bouncing, right? All over the place. And then you got to follow the trail. No, he hacks the money. And I don't know if in the group that the guy, was that a meme that he wrote about saying you had a weakness and you're lucky I didn't, you lucky it was me?
That was an old exploit. That wasn't even the same exploit. Yeah.
All right. I thought so, but I just wanted, whatever. Right. But what I'm saying though is that's almost the idea of what was actually going on, is that the hacker saw what was going on. He did exploit it, but he used it to his advantage. He minted off. Well, how much did he mint off on?
2 million BNB.
Yeah. So what is that? That is 1.5.
$600 million.
600 million. I said 1.5.
Just about.
Right,
yeah. It's like it's like 580 million or something. Some people said 700 million. I don't know. It's like just just around 600 million. Yeah.
Yeah. It's money. It's a lot of money.
So here's the thing though, Pedro, right? This guy, okay, when you look at what truly happened in this situation, he minted 2 million BNB in 6 seconds. Okay, it took him 6 seconds to mint 2 million BNB.
Talk about the fees. Talk about the fees.
The fees for these lending protocols that got the money inflow One,
Yeah.
if that money gets frozen on chain in these lending protocols, that's just extra liquidity for the bull market for
Yep.
these lending protocols. That would be amazing. But aside from that, right? He stole 2 million BNB in 6 seconds. Okay, it took Binance 1 hour to turn the chain off. He could have, if
If he
this
wanted to,
I won't even say he, they,
or they,
if they
yeah, good
wanted
point.
to, they could have
Right.
completely decimated BNB in the same amount of time that he minted 2 million BNBs. He
could've
could have
ran.
minted 500 million BNBs
Yeah.
and built a contract address that auto swapped it on DEX, and he could have had a price impact of 95, almost 100%. I mean, BNB would have gone
He
down
would've
to like
dropped.
$30. He would have
could've.
rugged BNB, right? Essentially.
Basically,
And
in a nutshell, yes.
yeah, it would have caused a complete hard fork. BNB Classic would have had to have come to fruition. It would have been the only, unless, especially if the money was still on chain, it would have been the only way to fix it, right? And so, the way that they fixed it, they're just eating the money. They're eating the 100 million instead of hard. It was technically a hard fork when they deployed it to the validators, but it's not a BNB Classic. It's not a the DAO Ethereum Classic type hard fork.
It's not
It's
an
not-
ETH. It's not an
Yeah.
ETH. Not bridge. Hack. It's not an ETH. Classic hack where they had to separate it because everything got decimated. Right.
Right.
Like these
exactly.
guys, like you said, they're bullish on the market.
Yeah, they
like,
could have killed it all. This
easily.
was a signal. And here's the thing: for the people that don't understand kind of how the hack worked, he forged an authentication key. Okay, in a sense, the protocol they use, it relays a key, and as long as the key that's being sent is true to the key that needs to be received, then it authorizes the transaction. And he found that this block from 2 years ago, he could forge a key on this block from 2 years ago, this specific block. And so he mined these 2 transactions on this 2-year-old block. People don't realize that. And he could have. This is the type of exploit. I mean, almost every EVM chain is using this same exact protocol. He could have done this on Phantom and
boom, boom.
he could have done it everywhere and synced.
Instantly.
They could have literally
Instantly.
rugged crypto. I mean,
Yes.
if he truly
Yes.
wanted to. And I think that this was him just saying, "Give me my $100 million and you're welcome. But I'll take my 100 million now." And do I think 100 million is a little steep for a bug bounty? Yeah. I mean, come on, 100 million. That's a lot of money, dude. But
he
end
could
of
have
the
done a
day-
lot worse, though.
yeah, he saved he
Yeah.
saved potentially trillions of dollars worth of value. I mean,
Easily. I mean, dude, we're talking about we're sitting at, what is it? Crypto is sitting at, I think we're 900 billion.
mentally, I like to still believe we're at 3 trillion. So mentally, I don't allow that.
Well, honestly, if you consider all the dead projects and all the money that's in, I mean, right, like that, I wonder if we could calculate all the projects that are basically sitting at 400, 500, $600,000, right? That are just sitting in liquidity, right? That we sit there and we look at them, that money's market cap sitting there, and it's like we're not seeing anything, right? Like it's just, there's just dead money. It's right there. I wonder if you were to calculate all of that, how many? Would it be like 2-3 trillion in addition to what we're doing, right? Like compared to like the 945 trillion or 945 mil or billion, excuse me, and then you add up all the other small stuff. I mean, there's, dude, I would, how many? Would you say a couple million?
I don't even know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I got
I
no
mean, we're
clue.
talking.
But I'll tell you what I do think. I think that in 24 months from now, there will be $10 trillion in the crypto market. That's what I do think.
Yes. Yep.
I think you give it 24 or 36 months. And after we get through the next halving, we're going to be looking at 9-10 trillion in the crypto market, 3x from all-time high.
Absolutely.
And I think the majority of it flows into EVM chains and proof of stake and not proof of work.
Yeah, I agree. Everything will be based, because the reality is when you consider the economic situation that's going on right in the world, which I want to talk about with this also in a few minutes, because we're seeing some pretty strong indications that things are about to fall apart. OPEC is just outright well, actually they didn't come outright and decide that they're going to go against America, but they basically raised rates. Or they raised rates on us and lowered them on the EU, right? Like OPEC, like just basically said to America, here's the middle finger. We don't like you right now. and we're going to raise rates on, or we're going to drop, not rates, I keep saying rates, we're going to drop production of oil, crude oil, for you guys by 2 million barrels, bro, a day. Like outright, dude. It just, like, that in itself is messing with things, right? And additionally to that, with the global economic situation with Europe and the fighting and all of that we're seeing in Europe, and I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff like that, but what I find more than anything is that the world it doesn't know what it wants to do. So when we add that the world would want to run to crypto down the road, and then everything starts to go towards the blockchain, right? And grandma, like earlier we brought up this article real quick, and basically just talking about how the founders of the blockchain industry, right? Or not industry, but technology, is trying to set up a way and trying to show Congress, listen, you can protect Granny and the public getting into crypto and getting into this stuff in a pretty secure way, right? In addition to that, allowing for innovation for blockchain and that technology.
Pedro, it's about custody. It's about custody.
Everything's about the custody.
They
Yes.
know the power of the technology. They've known the power of the technology for a decade.
Decades.
Okay.
Multiple
for decades.
Yeah.
Since
decades.
I mean, people don't realize that Bitcoin's white paper was written with references. This is not like technology that's completely new. It's just new, and it's new at scale, right? But it's about
1950s,
custody,
right? Was it 1950s and 60s when they really kind of really came out with the thought of it and got it going? Was it the 1930s? I think it was.
It was really early on, but it really,
Yeah.
I think it was in the early 90s that the e-gold or whatever it was. Yeah, there was some gold, digital gold that was going around. That was pretty much what Bitcoin was modeled after, in the white paper, the original white paper. And so, but it's about custody, man. Like the United States government, obviously, they want control, they want custody. They don't want to work with Tether, who's a private enterprise fucking money printer. Excuse my French.
Family friendly.
Yeah, sorry. Money printer, dude. Money printer. They're literally just running the money printer goes burr, out of Tether. And the United States government can't take. It's not even just about them having the custody, but they can't take on that type of risk and embrace that type of risk. While, I've got a friend that lives in Dubai that has been on the owner of Tether's, the chairman, whatever they call him, his yacht, and he's like sailing around Dubai on his yacht. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a boss.
Yeah, they can't have that. They need control of it. They need the digital dollar to be here, and they're late on the ball. They slept.
Yeah, well, it's almost like a sleeping giant, right? Or it's the sleeping, not sleeping. It's the story of David and Goliath, right? They really didn't. I mean, they understood it, but I think the U.S. government looked at it and said, "I won't go anywhere. It's too complicated. People won't jump on this." Right? And now it's like, dang, like you said, they slept. In addition to that, their cut on this, they're used to cuts of, like what we experienced in crypto of, 100x, 1,000x, 10,000x, right? Like they're used to that. So I feel like the U.S. government and other governments around the world are sitting there going, you know what? I think other governments around the world are sitting there saying, we just need to get into this because the reality is, whereas the U.S. government's going, no, we're gonna get ours, and I think you said it perfect. The hacker could have done damage. We don't know who it is. It could have been an entity. It could have been a statewide push. It could have been an idea of even, maybe some major investor who literally is just trying to, saying he's trying to get more, whatever he's trying to do, right? Like we see him like, all right, give me my 100 million. Thank you. Have a good day. Finder's fee. You're welcome. But he's still at that point where he's trying to connect. And that could have been really maybe some U.S., not say U.S., but some government entity that's out there who does believe in crypto, but can't necessarily come out and say it. And then, because they might be blacklisted, whether it's, the UAE or if it's, who knows, Russia, right? It's like, it's kind of crazy when we consider this.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts? So here's the one thing. So I want to know what your thoughts on Saudi Arabia, my friend, when it comes to them raising our basically our costs for oil. 2 million barrels. Here's the full thing right here. Um, Saudi Aramco hiked prices by 20 cents a barrel for all U.S. grade, while Northwest Europe and the Mediterranean saw declines. OPEC Plus slashed its production quota by 2 million barrels per day yesterday. This goes in the line of the White House accusation that OPEC is aligning itself with Russia after lowering its quota. So obviously it goes on and talks about kind of its thoughts and why the government does. But I just want to know what your thoughts on. And this, I think this is important because the fact is that like when most people look at, okay, I got gas or I can put money into crypto, you know, like they're going to put money into gas because they got to go to work, right? So it's interesting to see this happen. I think this will have a major effect on us because we've seen basically our gas drop and almost the ease of pressure, right? Like you've got an extra, you know, $50-$40 in your bank account because you're not putting it all into gas, right? And we know that most Americans are over leveraged in their debt where they maybe have, you know, like out of $1,000, let's say you out of $1,000, basically $960 of it goes to your bills, right? For most Americans. So I think that's a big deal in regards to this. And so seeing this actually drop off or seeing this about to pick back up again for gas prices, I want to know what your thoughts are with the Americans buying or the ability to buy into crypto.
Well, I mean, it's our own fault, right? It's our own fault. It's like we could be the number one energy producer in the world still, but we're not. And obviously it's business. If there's a monopoly, I mean, if Saudi Arabia has a direct line to us and we're the only ones that, you know, they're the only ones we want to buy oil from because we can't buy it from Russia right now because of politics, then it's supply and demand, baby.
Yep.
Raise it up, charge us more. It's our own fault. We burn through our reserves. We're not producing as much oil as we should be. Why? Because they want to push an agenda that isn't even, you know, it's a theory. And so at the end of the day, it's our own fault. This is what happens when you don't wean off of something. There's repercussions to actions. I mean, also there's probably some politically charged motivation behind this. If people don't remember, Joe Biden called bin Salman a murderer publicly. I mean, this is somebody we need to rely on, and instead of you know, curating that relationship, we're destroying it. And so, do I think this affects? Do I think it affects people's ability to buy crypto? It affects people's ability to survive. I mean, it's not just buy crypto. It's here in the United States. Okay, I live in New England, United States. All right.
Yep.
A lot of homes in New England still run on conventional heating oil, which essentially is just diesel fuel that's tinted red because it sells for a little bit cheaper, and they call it heating oil, so people don't realize the correlation. But it's just diesel fuel. And
okay, I'll text you when I've got it ordered. All right.
What's up, Batman?
Bye.
Hey, Batman, you're on, bud. Batman, you're on.
Batman's hot mic. What's up, Batman?
Batman hot mic.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like this affects everybody especially in the United States. A lot of people are using heating oil, especially in New England. And so people are going to be paying a lot of money, and it's not just going to affect their ability to buy crypto. It's going to affect their ability to buy groceries, and especially with groceries being up 80% in some areas, you know? And so energy is already ridiculously expensive where I live. And so for it to go up even higher, it's insane. It's insanity, but it's supply and demand. And I do not, under any circumstances, blame Saudi Arabia for taking advantage of a situation. Just like we took advantage of them when we sent oil to zero when Donald Trump was in office. We sent oil to negative money. Negative 40.
Yes.
So many people got liquidated, and we did that to Saudi. Why? Because we were capitalizing on a situation, right? We were capitalizing on it, and now the tables have turned. We put ourselves in such a stupid position, and we're allowing them to take advantage of us. And all the power to them. All the power to them. It's you know what? Elections have consequences, and we reap what we sow, and we're living it now.
You know, I would almost say though, like I think Gabriel talks about this a lot, and I think it's very interesting, right? In regards to to the people. Okay, I don't think most people are actually educated in regards to Biden's interactions with Saudi Arabia, with OPEC in general, right? Like this isn't the first time. Like like you're talking to him, calling him a murderer and stuff. Like we've seen, we saw the same type of stuff with Biden, right? And this fighting back and forth and what we saw. So it's not, or not, but I meant Obama, right? Like we've seen this stuff go on throughout the years, and it's like if we don't educate ourselves, right, in regards as a people to what's our history, right? Which yeah, it's funny. I've been told now multiple times I need to shorten the these videos and your technical analysis. It's gold. It's making people money, but it's too long because people don't have the actual intention span to be able to sit there and focus now, right? And I'm like, so do I placate to the people who literally just need it, or do I actually help people like actually focus? Should I start saying focus? I know this is getting technical, but focus here because this is something that's going to help you make money, right? So it's just so many little things that have been brought into our, I don't know. Anyways, so now I agree with you on that in regards to, man, we missed Batman. I wish Batman would come back in because I know that he'd bring up some pretty good stuff.
Batman's right there. I see him still.
Oh shoot, you there? What are
Yeah,
you? What are you?
sorry, guys. I'm busy just listening in for a minute, and I'm unmuted myself on this phone. So
Okay.
I'll be in.
All right, no worries then. If you can, I want you to talk about some of the stuff here real quick. All right, and so here's the next article that I want to bring up too, because this is, I think, it's a very unique thought, right? Here we go. So millions in crypto. Now this happened a while. Come on. Don't tell me.
Oh, go to 12th ladder.
Oh, I don't know about 12th ladder. Tell me about 12th ladder.
Google it. Type in paywall bypass on Google.
All right.
Copy the link. Make sure you copy the article link. You're going to need it.
Don't try to confuse me with common sense. I don't like it.
It may not work on Bloomberg anymore. I'm not sure, but
copy. All right. Then where are we going to go to?
Paywall bypass. Maybe 2 words.
It'll pop up. It'll send me there.
Yeah, 12foot.io. There it is.
Oh. I did not know about this.
Yeah.
So I just put the actual thing here, and I'll let me be able to see it.
And then remove paywall.
We detected.
Yeah, I see. They're getting smart. I think it's because you got to open in that other browser still.
All right, so I got to open it into like a completely different browser.
Try it. Right. Yeah, copy that 12-foot link that's in your browser.
Right here.
And then open a incognito.
All right, boom. Look at this.
Private window. See if it works.
Oh.
Nah.
That was worth a try. Yeah,
they know they're on it.
You have a bunch of they have a bunch of Gen Xers and Gen Yers working for them now.
Crazy.
The old guys are like, they're like, you want to keep your job? Figure out how to stop doing this. Getting people stopped.
Stop these nerds, please.
Y'all can't play your Fortnite until you guys figure this out. Anyways, so that stinks. But basically, the article was talking about how the U.S. government basically went and seized money from these two twins, and then seized money from one guy. Then the brother comes in, and they can't pinpoint it, and I forget the guy's name. That's why I was trying to pull it up. But the brother then comes in, and that literally they're looking, like the feds are looking at the money, literally depleting out of the wallet that they seized, and they're like, who took it? And so they're really, pinpointing the other brother who actually started it. And I want to bring this up because this plays into the idea of we were talking about custody, right? And then who's going to control this? And I find it like, even let's say they do try to control the blockchain and the payment systems and who controls the monetary system, right? Like, but because we are always innovating and always growing and always pushing to the next level, there are ways to get around it. Where there is a will, there is a way, right? And so I almost feel like there's this idea of, just like with the BSC, instead of stopping people, almost in a sense, activate them to work for you, right? Like it's something like what you did with, a few of the hackers who tried to come in, right? That you've met, right? You incentivize them saying, hey, look, I know you're brilliant because how you did this. How about you use that power for good? Great responsibility, or great power comes with great responsibility. Use it correctly. And I feel like the government sits there and we slap down innovation and we slap down, just intelligence, right? And so it's frustrating. Like the idea is like, there is a statistic that basically says that like 30% of inmates, right, are all geniuses. Like 30% of literally people in jail incarcerated, 30% of the population are all geniuses with IQs over 135, 140. Like it's ridiculous.
Crazy.
Right? Yet, right? Like, and imagine if we were to harness that and say, hey, look, I think you want to provide for your family. I think you want. And so I bring this up because the idea is that what are your thoughts are if we were to, instead of having this backhanded get in line check versus saying, all right, how do we innovate this and actually create a utopian society that's best for everyone, not for, let's say, the top 10 or top 1%. And what's one of those ways that we could actually figure out a way to use that, to better the world, right? Not just America or our tribe. What's up, Gabe? How you doing? Hope you're doing well.
Well, honestly, I mean, I need to watch how I say this because it could be taken politically incorrect. Okay, but I think in order to get to
friendly,
yeah, for sure, I'll be family friendly.
But everyone, Brian will now tell you financial advice.
Yes, incoming financial advice, ladies and gentlemen. Joking.
Yeah, and remember, guys, and I always say here, right, and I'm just going to make sure I clarify this. A disclaimer, no financial advice, information provided in this video and website. Give me 1 second.
There's only financial advice if you make money.
And a live stream does not constitute as investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any sort of advice and should not be treated any of this video and website content as such. I, Moonrock, Ninja Lounge, co-hosts, and guests do not recommend that any cryptocurrency or basic goes over. But I want to say this covers guests and all the major people that do support me and help me out. So I need to throw in Coin Launch Lounge now on that too as well.
I also wanted to upgrade this to, if you will earn money, this is financial advice. If you will lose money, this is not financial advice.
No. Again, no. I am the curator and host here, and full CEO of this thing right here, and I say no.
Okay.
But go ahead. What were you going to say, B?
So you ask. Your question was what again? I mean, your question was.
All right. No. So my question was really this. Right now, we have a system, and obviously, I can't pull up the article here. It's not going to allow me.
Your utopia. Like, how do you get to that 1% utopia? Get everyone to that, right?
Well, not necessarily a utopian, because like have nothing, you'll be happy for it, right? That's not what I'm speaking about. I'm talking almost about the old American dream, where you come to an area and you can work your butt off and actually get ahead. Right, here we go. Boom. Feds locked up a storage device full of ill-gotten tokens. Then someone started stealing the loot. Basically, Gary Harman grinned as he lounged in a bathtub full of, there he is. If you pull up Gary Harman, we can read about it. But basically, this guy and his brother were innovative, created some pretty dope stuff for Web 3.0, right? And then in that same sense, what happens is he goes through and he, his brother goes to jail, and basically they take all this money and they say that he was stealing it, right? Like that was the thing, right? He was stealing, he was doing all these things that weren't cool. And in that process, as he's doing that, right, his other brother comes in and sorry about that. And comes in and basically said they think he steals like all the rest of the money from the feds, right? So there's all this thing. My thing, and I'm going to use this up because the feds, they can't keep up. Like this technology, one year is like 10 years in traditional finance, and the feds have a hard time keeping up, and the SEC has a hard time keeping up with what's going on with the traditional finance world, right? Dude, 1 year is like 10 years. A month, right, in crypto is literally like a year in regular traditional finance. Just the innovation, the speed in which it evolves and moves, right? It's just incredibly quick. And instead of slapping hands saying, stop being bad, we're going to put you in jail, say, you know what? Let's use your creativity like you did. Remember, like when I brought up, you had a couple people who came onto the show, right? And they were trying to scam people. And you said, let me help you out, right? And instead of trying to get people to steal and create a utopian society for their own clan, how do we sit there and incentivize people to create things in a way that just doesn't benefit themselves and their clan, but the global world, and not to you own nothing. And I'm not preaching you'll own nothing and be happy. I'm saying you can own something and everybody can be self-sufficient and own it, and we all contribute. And I'm not talking about communism. I'm talking about people actually making money for themselves and getting ahead, right? And I think crypto has that ability to be able to do that.
This is a really hard concept for me, right? Because me personally, I suppose I lean more conservative, and I have a more capitalistic approach in society. Okay, I think that capitalism, if you remove the greed from capitalism, it's a great system, right? But greed funnels into capitalism and destroys it. And same thing with everything else. So
I wanted to add, we don't have capitalism.
No, we don't.
Even in USA, nowhere in the world is capitalism, like true capitalism.
No, I agree.
Because in capitalism, you allow something that doesn't work to die off, as in nature, right? It doesn't work, it dies off. That's it, 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the end of it.
In here, we have communism or fascism, because it's too big to die, right? Bailouts, all of this. This is not capitalism. This is literally a government overseeing. So where we have government overseeing and planning.
Oversight.
In communism,
Government
right?
oversight.
Yeah. That's not pure capitalism.
I don't think that the American dream can come back until, I don't want to use I'm trying to think of a different term because this isn't the term that I want to use, but I truly believe that the next leg up in it's manufacturing 4.0. It's the next industrial boom, which is going to be through automation in robotics. And I think that humans really need to in a sense enslave robots to do all of the dirty work. And at that point, that's when the American dream comes back. When you can purchase a robot for $40,000 or $50,000 privately and have it work for you, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week without any complaints or any mistakes or any benefits or anything, that's scalable, right? In today's current day, it's difficult to scale a business in the United States because of all the red tape, all of the costs associated with it. And I think that the next wild west is truly in robotics. I mean, you look at like Project Optimus from Tesla. If that becomes a reality, which is highly likely in the next decade, highly likely, then you've got a society where back to your point of like, how does everyone kind of get treated fair in a sense? Well, in a world like that, a lot of people have a purpose in life, and their purpose is to work. It's to wake up and go to work. And without that in their life, they feel like they want to escape it, but without it, they would be severely depressed and they'd have essentially nothing to live for. And it would cause major damage to society. And if we bring robotics into the picture and replace a lot of these factory workers, then even as a person that's extremely conservative and as a person that's capitalistic by nature, at least leans that way, I believe that a universal basic income would be required in order for that type of society to thrive. If we want the population to continue to increase, unless as humans we're okay with a massive population decline, then we'll need some type of universal basic income. Now, this is a double-edged sword though, because on the other side of it, where the real benefit is that people that work in a factory that are brilliant but can never escape that. You know, these people, like you said, 30% of people have this genius IQ. These people that are stuck
in jail. It's
oh,
not,
in jail. Okay.
remember, it's very important to understand that is that they're trying to get ahead, but they do it the wrong way because they grew up in the ghetto.
Right.
And I say the ghetto because I didn't grow up in the most. I grew up in Meadowsville, California, which is the stupidest city in the whole entire country. You know what I'm saying? I mean, literally, we literally are. I mean, we're down. You know, we're one of the top people when it comes to methamphetamine. We're one of the top people that for when it comes, or we're the top cities when it. I think we're top number one when it comes to car theft. Right? I say this because anybody who's gone out of Modesto and got out of the mindset. There's one person that I've seen got out that hasn't started a business that isn't slamming, doing very good for themselves. So I believe that competition and hardship breeds. It truly breeds competitiveness and intelligence, right? Like I do believe that 100%. But then at the same time, right? It also breeds this other side that basically causes people to hurt each other, right? And so we could figure that out, how to keep capitalism, allow somebody, because I want to think of the reason why these guys are stealing or trying to get around the system is because they're smart enough to do it, and the system is broken, right? And if somebody goes around and gets around it, right, then they get their hands slapped and gets thrown in jail, saying you're too smart, you got to be in here. Versus taking that genius and just saying and infusing it with, like, what do you want to create?
Well, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was alluding to is if you remove people from these remedial tasks that they're stuck in, that they cannot escape because of the construct of society, you can apply them as long as you can motivate them and keep them not depressed and you can keep them out of their own way. Then you can enable them to become architects and engineers and designers and artists and people that are like some of the most amazing artists I've ever met in my entire life are packing boxes in a warehouse, are loading boxes off of a UPS truck, or they're sitting there at a cashier in a retail job because they can't escape. But they're the most talented artists I've ever met. People I go to church with that are in the music that are literally such talented musicians. They'll never get out of what they do because they're not enabled by society. And so there's a real conversation to be had with the idea of how do you get to a point where people are treated fairly, and we can bring back the American dream, quote unquote. Well, I don't think it doesn't happen until robotics take over, because robotics are humans get ahead when they enslave something, which is
and to throw this in, I think this would be something that we could actually even bring up. They don't get ahead, right? Here's the thing though, like if you need some sort of people don't move until they're in pain, right? Like pain's a real thing. Like you may I know some people, some of the most intelligent people are some of the most laziest people that I know. Like absolutely the most laziest people that I know. And they do just enough because they can get somewhat ahead and they're intelligent, but they don't drive. They don't put a drive in. Wow, I keep trying to put this in. It shows my intelligence here. I wanted to put the robotics article regarding Tesla and Optimus and how it's all basically moving forward to that. And I almost want to add into the idea of AI, because AI is going to be all over this, along with quantum computing and how the whole entire inception is going to come together, right? But that idea, though, is that you need some form of pain to get somebody to do either good or bad, right? Like you said, greed or fear, right? Those are the two things that propel capitalism, right? Like truly at its core, it's greed of making money, fear of losing it, right? And so that propels things. In the same sense, if we just figure out a way to be able to incentivize those who are broke, the word broken, but I mean just either lazy, brilliant, and want to go around the wrong way, versus saying, I see you're trying to go over here, but we could use you over here, and you can be twice as profitable. You know, I mean, so I mean, robots. I mean, are robots truly the answer?
I think so. Have you ever worked in a factory and stuffed
Yes.
boxes for 12 hours a day for 6 days a week to get a paycheck at the end of the week and it's $500? How demoralizing.
Actually, mine was 300. It was back in 2008.
Right. How demoralizing is that? You feel like you have no worth. And this is what people look forward to and live for, right? And so I did that. I used to work in a factory setting, and I used to think about the fact that I wish that there was a robot that could do my job that I had to just maintain, right? And I could go back in the office and let this thing run. And so, yeah, I think I personally believe that it's like, I use the word robot as very loosely. I think it's just I think it's artificial intelligence and anonymous technology in general. You look at Tesla, right? Well, every other car company that's trying to develop self-driving cars is using LiDAR. They're using sonar. They're using radar. They're using everything that they can get their hands on to keep the cars from hitting stuff. Tesla, which has the most recorded miles of any vehicle autonomously, they have the lowest crash rating of any vehicle autonomously. They have the largest network of any vehicle that's autonomous, especially with their full self-driving beta program. Despite all that, they've removed the radar from the front of the vehicle, and now they're removing the sensors from the side of the vehicle, and it's only computer vision software. It's completely unfathomable, impossible 5 years ago, logically, to think that a computer could look at something and identify two different objects and make a split-second decision. It's not possible 5 years ago today. And so the fact that we've come that far with the technology as a whole just shows how fast it's going to ramp up. And I think, like I say the word robot, but I think of software also as a robot, AI software that can complete tasks that we need done.
NFTs.
Yeah. At ease.
Literally.
Yeah. And what does it take? Maintenance? You're going to have to maintain robots. You have to charge robots. You have to replace parts. I mean, at the end of the day, I truly believe that this is the future. You think of the hardest part for manufacturers, machining, things like that. It's good, skilled labor, and it's becoming harder to find because less people want to do it. And from a perspective of a business owner, right? You're paying somebody $100,000 a year to run a high-end piece of equipment or something, even $100 grand a year, $80 grand a year, or every year annually, you have to pay them benefits, you have to pay them overtime, as opposed to a robot that you buy for $45,000 up front. And then, I'm sure the government's going to impose some type of tax on this, where they're going to get for every hour this robot works, you're going to have to pay them, right? The government, you have to pay them as the business owner to fund universal basic income, things like that, because it's almost inevitable. Like, to me, it feels like it's just a matter of time until this type of stuff happens. And
Go ahead, Gabriel.
I disagree.
Okay, let me hear it.
The automatization is inevitable, but you are thinking like a human, basically, right? You're not thinking like an owner of a country, of a corporation that's multinational. Let's say, like, for example, Unilever. They have literally millions of employees around the world. In only Europe, they hire over 200,000 people. These are dystopian corporations. They don't think about people. They think about efficiency. If they can exchange people for robots, they will do it. It's even my professor told us when we started to learn about AI, that he already told us like 2-3 years ago. He said, I quote, "Listen, if And if something can be exchanged and done by artificial intelligence or machine learning, right, or deep learning or whatever, it will be done. It's just a matter of time. So don't even start to try to be an expert in this field, because if a machine can do it better and faster than you, they will do it, and they will bring it and do it. But we also have another option. We are left out with people, right?
Yeah.
You say,
Leaving
and
people out.
everyone they push for this universal income, but just think about it for a second. Why do these owners of these factories need people?
Yeah. Because
They
they need
need
to work.
workers, right?
They need workers. Outright.
Workers. If they don't need workers, they don't need those people.
Yes.
So why would they just listen? This is brutal efficiency, right? If they don't need this, they don't need these people, right? Those groups of people, those millions of people, basically, if not more. Why would they even want to help them with universal income in the first place?
Two reasons why. One, the government, because they need votes, right? And so
They don't need votes. You know my take on
You
it.
think it's all
Well,
fake, right?
yeah,
I mean,
but
with the votes and everything.
People only think they have votes. Yeah.
but
Just
I
look.
mean,
For example, just look at the both sides. They both went to the same schools.
give me
They
one
both
second.
went
Wait,
to
give me
the same,
wait,
like
give me 1
society.
second. But give me 1 second. Hey, hold up. Real quick. If you're watching me, if you could, guys, like, subscribe, and share me on your guys' social media, I'd appreciate that. Just so that I'm trying to get the name out and let people know. We're going to be going into some chart reading here too, and a few and going over stuff. But all right, guys, thanks. I appreciate that. Like and subscribe. Hit the video, the little thumbs up. Boom, boom. Help me with the stuff. What's up? What's up, Steven? Hope you're doing well, brother. So talk to me. So say, and also I want to hear Batman, because the Batman. I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. Go ahead, Gabriel. Talk to me about.
You said two things. Come on.
All right.
One
One,
was voting,
government,
right?
they need votes, right? Now, regardless of whether you believe we do have power or not, for the majority of the world, they do believe there's power, right? We do have power. Second, or you have some voting power, right? But second, okay, there's this idea that as we keep growing, we got to keep producing the genius power of people, right? And the only way to be able to do that is give them some sort of meaning, right? You give them a meaning, right? Whether it's getting up every day and going to work and then discovering your genius out of that. But I think, and I think many of the top echelon elite people know that. Like, they know they're not the most brightest or brilliant, because it takes one person talking with new ideas to make you realize, oh, dang, I'm not that smart, right? Like, if you're the smartest guy in a room and nobody is tickling your curiosity or thoughts, you need to get out of that room and find a higher thought process of things. So I think those are the two primary reasons why that would be hard to sit there and see. Hey,
Okay.
Kyle, what's up? It's good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Hey, if you hit the like and subscribe and let people know, I'd appreciate that. It's good to see you, bud. And you know, you can get in here if you want to. Just let me know. Kyle is a coder, and he does a lot of stuff with a lot of other companies out there. So I'd love one day to bring you in here and just have you talk about what you're doing. Go ahead. Talk to me.
Yeah, what you described is a human reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need brain power. First of all, I truly think that they can artificially grow people, because we have cloning for like 20 years already, right? And this is officially
30 years. 30 years. It was the 90s. Yeah.
So so
Dolly.
20 years, let's say, whatever. Yeah, this is civilian technology, basically. So I think that the like army has this technology for at least 50, 60 years, if not more.
Yeah, easy.
So I think they can basically grow people. That's why they collect DNA from around the world, right? I think
All of us, yeah.
in different ways than most people. That's why I look at it differently. Secondly, you are thinking about, whoa, this guy is smart, let's help him, right? We can invent new things. But they are thinking, whoa, this guy is smart, he's dangerous to
Let's oppress him. Yeah.
our. We need to destroy him.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
We need
like
to stop him, you know?
to your rebuttal, right, on the initial topic about the artificial intelligence, do you think, Gabriel, in 5 years from now, that let's say a decade, so by 2032, do you think that the majority of intelligence on Earth will be human or artificial?
Machines are not intelligent. I told you already, machines don't think.
That's not true.
No. Machines are trained muscle memory. They are not thinking,
Yeah.
not
Agreed.
thinkers.
As of
You-
right now,
That's not true, though. I mean, when you look at the full self-driving beta from Tesla, it is 100% thinking and making split decisions.
No, it's not thinking. It's reaction. That's not thinking. This is trained, right? It trains on a data, and then it recreates reactions to that data. It's not thinking. It doesn't have consciousness to think. You know, it's reaction. It's muscle memory basically, but it's trained on so big in amount of data that for you it looks like it's thinking, right? But if you would train on this amount of data, it would be probably way better than this artificial intelligence. They even tried to recreate mouse brain. You can Google it up. They tried to recreate mouse brain. This little brain, and they couldn't do it. They used up like whole supercomputer to do it, and they couldn't recreate it. So I think it's, if we want truly artificial intelligence, I think they will be connecting people with machines, which they are doing, right? Which they are developing the technology for it. Because let's just think about it, there is not enough like precious metals, the resources for everybody to have his own robot. It's impossible for everyone to have his own robot.
How?
You
How does that even make sense? That's so like, and to say that machines can't think when Google, leaks that Google has developed a potentially sentient AI, when that's the forefront of the technology, when quantum computing isn't even a thing yet, and we've got machine learning that's able to drive cars sophisticated situations over multiple lanes, turning left. Like, I understand what you're saying. It's not actually thinking. It's reacting based on how it was trained. But I mean, when you think about how we think of a situation, right? If I'm standing in front of you right now and I throw a ball, so all of a sudden throw a ball right in your face, what are you going to do? You're going to react, because you're going to think, I need to stop the ball, and I'm going to react. And it's a similar situation.
Machine doesn't understand what it's doing. It's only reacting. That's the difference.
Now, right?
Do you have a dog? Do you have a dog or a cat or some animal?
I had, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think this cat was, is thinking or not?
I don't think they're intelligent.
well, I would
don't
say
think they ever have. I don't think a dog or a
exactly.
cat has the potential to become more intelligent than humans. I think artificial intelligence does have the potential.
What I'm
to.
talking about is the cat or a dog know exact. Of course, there are different levels of intelligence in them, right? But even animals understand what they are doing. They know and understand that when they, come to you and press their like back on your legs, you will scratch it and it will get some food or something like that, right? it understands, the consequences. Computers don't understand. They just connect the dots, right? They were connected, like the weights. Like humans and animals don't need weights, right? That's the difference. We understand things. Computers don't understand. They just repeat. And that's why I think the computers don't think. They potentially will be thinking when they will be connected with some life form.
So there are a few, and I want to bring this up here real quick. So you have a few different types of artificial intelligence, right? I want to make sure we clarify that, right? You have the primary thoughts, right? Where so when we think of artificial intelligence, we think of the singularity where the intelligent, right, artificial, or this computer now becomes sentient, that can feel, think on its own, and react based off of data, and additionally to that, create new data, right, from it. Okay. As of right now, right, we do there's a mixture of AI, AGI, and then what's the other one? I'm forgetting it.
Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning.
Yeah, but there's more than, because there's different types of artificial intelligence, not just deep learning, right? You're talking about the generalities of the idea of AI. I'm talking about the actual AI itself and the forms of in which currently what we have, right? You have your simple AI, which is basically off your phone. It doesn't think for itself. It basically, you say something, it brings something up, and it sets things in motion. It's based off data. Two, you have the other side that literally go through and set things up where you have neural networks that actually interact with each other.
We have three main general names.
But right, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I just said. Give me a second, buddy. But so when I want to, Gabriel, give me a second, buddy. And so I want to make sure that we understand that these forms that we're talking about a idea. We're talking about AGI, right? We're talking about a thought that is a general intelligence that actually can go through and see things from an aerial perspective and be able to actually make thoughts and processes. I think there are times where, like, you're right, when it comes to, let's say, algorithmic learning trading program, right? It can gauge what I'm doing. It takes the information that I'm doing and it creates a actual trading algorithm that trades against me, right? And so and then it can learn against that, so that it can trade off of me with what I'm doing. It has already data sequences within the actual code, but in addition to that, it also has a neural network that works in a sense that's saying, if this happens, then we do this. If this happens, and it's very complicated, right? So it looks like it's actually thinking. I want to bring this up here real quick because there's coming to a point now where we can go to Google, and Google is now creating its own pictures. The AI is creating its own pictures. And yes, it is based off of data, but it's data just like how we learn. Whereas humans don't come out with this idea of simple, like, okay, I came out of nothing. No, I'm influenced by something. I take that data, I mesh it, and I make it my own, and I create something new. And we're starting to see this happen with Google and other AGI. No, it's not even.
I think you should watch the link that I put in the chat, because this debate has already been had.
Yeah,
this debate has already been had.
How long?
All this, progress. What we see is not made based off of innovation. The machines don't think about creating new technology.
I know that, and we know that.
Creativity.
We understand that. We're not disagreeing with
you,
but what we're
they can do, pictures because it's repetitive, right? It's repetitive. It can be trained. You can train people.
It was at the right point. It was at the right point.
But I still want to
Okay.
start it from.
You can train people to be creative, right? To be
Right.
innovative. But machine will not think about new ways how to,
Of course it will, Gabriel. Of course it will.
No,
It's
Like-
it's
only
such a human approach to say that it
No.
can't get to a point. Yes, Gabriel. We haven't even
has
think of
first.
quantum computing. Gabe,
Guys,
we
let's
can't-
respect each other's. Let's respect each other's opinions.
Oh, of
if
course,
one
we do this every
believes-
day. Gabe and
Yeah.
I do this every
Yeah.
day. We love each other. Gabe's one of my favorite people in the whole space. So no, we do this every day because we have great. We're both
Debates.
intelligent people and we have great debates about this type of stuff. Gabe, here's the thing. Okay, we're considering the fact that there's no quantum computing. We're going to have quantum
Yes.
computers in our pockets by the end of our
No,
lifetime.
By the end of our
No,
lifetime,
you-
I would say by the end of our lifetime. Yeah, I agree with
No,
that.
no. You cannot have quantum computer in your pocket because it needs the processor of quantum computing processor needs really deep, like really low temperature. It's like you would need a fridge in your pocket. You
Right,
won't have,
Let's put it up like
Unless-
this.
Wasn't there
connected to
limitations when they
the
launched
cloud.
the Apollo 11?
unless
There was
unless it will be connected to the
law.
cloud.
Moore's
Then no.
law. Moore's law indicates based off of accruing of information, that accrues information, right? It doubles everything. I think it's every year and a half now, right? Now this is important to understand. They calculated through
Okay.
Moore's law. They calculated through Moore's law the idea that we then, at this point, the way it is growing, right, and shortening, that, and this was I think about 5 years ago, by I think it was 2035, that we would be at a certain point with quantum computing, okay, where you would actually
but
have quantum supremacy, right?
I,
And so that quantum
right.
supremacy idea was literally at a point where we're talking almost 2 decades away at the time,
I-
right? And
Guys, I told you already that they are already thinking
well, let
about
me finish. Let me finish.
next
Let me finish.
generation. They
Let
want
me
they
finish.
are already
One thing about
developing
being
algorithms
me right now, I can just go
beyond
mute
quantum
my-
computing.
Okay, let's. I want to make sure we add this here real quick. 'Cause I want to make sure you understand this. I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about. I'm talking about the common people, right, and what they're actually, or the actual backside of free enterprise and what they're creating, right. And we'll watch this video here in a second. But I want to bring this up because it's super important, right? Is we're literally 15 or 20 years ahead of with quantum supremacy, and the idea that it was able to figure out and uncouple a protein that actually came to a point faster than an actual supercomputer. Now, was it able to do more than that? No, but it was able to focus on one area and really become good at it, right? And that's really where the intelligence is going to come from, right? We're going to see these type of things keep happening. We're much further ahead than what they assumed because of Moore's law and everything that correlates with that. And the backside behind it, we're also seeing the idea behind more genius and more money coming into the field. I mean, if we consider China throwing in $3 trillion a year, at least that we know of right now, they're probably putting a lot more money into it. So there's this, there's a give and take between what you're saying, Gabriel, and not. Go ahead. Actually, should we watch this real quick before we move forward?
If you could back it up to where it starts, I think it's at 5 minutes and 40 seconds. But yeah, I think it's important because this is two of the world's most powerful billionaires having this exact debate.
Jack Ma and Elon Musk.
Yeah, Jack Ma owns Alibaba,
Yep.
and so Alibaba Corp. And Gabriel, so I understand what you're saying, and relative to today's standards, I don't think it's possible for us to get to that point. But when I consider myself, when I consider the where quantum computing is, I mean, technology only gets better, it grows faster, and it becomes smaller historically. And for quantum computing to need this massive thermodynamics in order for it to be successful, or for it to be compact enough to fit in your pocket, it's like saying, well, quantum computing would never be possible because we use lithium-ion batteries, right? Well, obviously, most things in our future aren't possible with lithium-ion batteries. We would need to switch over to graphene or remove all of the cobalt from lithium ion in order to increase the life cycle of it. There's so many different things that we would need to do in order to get there. But that's what technology is for, you know. Like I think it's really important that we play this video. I think it's really important that you start it from 5:44 and we play the video, because this same debate happened.
I think it will be faster and more probable than instead of a fridge in your pocket, this phone will be connected to the cloud that will be, you know, computing quantum computers.
And that's okay. That's acceptable also. But regardless, I think that the power of quantum computers comes down to the regular action on a day-to-day basis. Your volume's off on YouTube, Pedro.
No, I got you. I'm actually setting it up right now. I've got to actually go through and real quick and set it up. So give me 1 second.
Okay, if not, yeah, I can always play.
Yeah, and I'm just setting it up right now. Share screen. Here we go. And
I just wanted to add, the computer, you know, unwind this molecule, right, protein, but it still didn't understand what it's for, what it is.
Now,
right?
Yes.
Now.
But
when all human intelligence possible on Earth is loaded into a single location and exponentially increased far beyond what humans could ever imagine as far as information, data, and intelligence, and it's centralized and it's exponentially multiplied, that's when it becomes, you know, we can't even fathom. We can't fathom the possibilities.
Well, now you're talking about Neuralink there. And so that we haven't even brought Neuralink in, the idea of Neuralink kicking in and am I echoing?
No, you're not.
No.
Okay. There's this, you know, if we haven't even brought Neuralink in, and the idea of human/AI actually almost merging in a sense where you have this give and take, this push and pull, where we almost become AI, right? Like our brains are now moving at light speeds, right? We're now moving by the speed of thought, no longer by the speed of words, right? Or the speed of visual. Like I send you a visual thought that is worth 1,000 words, right? So it's like, so these are things that are like something that we haven't even brought up. So, and then seeing AI merging with that, you know, there's a book by Orson Scott Card, and it is called Ender's Game. So if you follow the Ender's Game book set, he goes in and he talks about how they created this spirit, right? And it was like an AI development system based off of Ender and his intelligence. Okay. He was a really smart guy. Long story short, he creates an AI based off of himself, and the interaction of him and the AI almost, in a sense, become almost kind of like one, but they're separate entities. And they actually realize it's more of a spirit behind it. And so I think this is nuts. And I know that's nuts, but it's almost like kind of where it's going. So we'll jump in here and hear Jack Ma and Elon Musk here in a second. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. That's what you were saying. Boom.
Because people should have. So when people worry a lot about artificial intelligence, people should have more confidence in themselves. Because I think if a lot of solutions we don't have today, but there will be solutions tomorrow. We don't have solutions, but the young people will have solutions. So I'm quite optimistic, and I don't think artificial intelligence is a threat. I don't think artificial intelligence is something terrible, but human beings are smart enough to learn that. And to me, artificial intelligence is just like, people worry a lot about this today are those people, I called college smartness. People like us, street smart, we never scared of that. We think it's a great fun, and we want to change ourselves to embrace it.
I don't know, man. That's like famous last words. Let me tell you, AI is, I mean, you look at sort of the rate of advancement, just in general, the rate of advancement of computers is insane. And like a good example would be video games. You know, if you go back 40 years ago, 50 years ago, maybe you had Pong. That was just two rectangles and a square. now you've got photorealistic real-time simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, these games will be indistinguishable from reality. You will not be able to tell the difference. Either that or civilization will end. Those are the two options. But even if the rate of technology improvement slowed down by 1,000, then okay, advance 1,000 years, or 10,000 years. This is still very tiny. Civilization has been around for probably, arguably, I think 7,000 years or something like that. If you count it from the first time there was any writing, any recorded symbols, besides cave paintings. There's a very tiny amount of time, considering the universe is 13.8 billion years old. I mean, if civilization lasted for 1 million years, we would only increment the third decimal point after 13.8 billion years. If we lasted for 1 million years. So that seems like a long time. Given that we've only been around for 7,000 years, it's been kind of a roller coaster on the civilization front. So, I mean, I'm a naturally optimistic person, to be clear. I'm not saying, hey, doom and gloom. I'm just saying this is the apparent pattern. The rate of change of technology is incredibly fast. It is outpacing our ability to understand it. Well, I'm not sure, is that good or bad? I don't know. I mean, it seemed to me some time ago that you could sort of think of humanity as a biological bootloader for digital superintelligence. For those who know what a bootloader is, a very tiny piece of code without which the computer cannot start. But it's sort of like the minimal bit of code necessary for a computer to start. Like, you couldn't evolve silicon circuits. There needed to be a biology to get there.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something fun. I'm of the mind that you want to go on the Mars. Shall we go to the Mars?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what will the life look like on Mars? Are you both?
Okay, so is that what you want to talk about real quick, or show, Brian?
Yeah, that's the AI conversation that they have. Honestly, I remembered it being a little bit more in depth, but yeah, regardless, I mean, like, I suppose the philosophy there is Jack Ma is saying that artificial intelligence, kind of like Gabriel's standpoint, artificial intelligence is no real threat to humanity. It could never overtake humanity. And Elon is saying the exact opposite and saying, like, humans are essentially the bootloader to what superintelligence will become. Like, humans aren't capable of superintelligence. Computers are capable of superintelligence, especially at a quantum level. I suppose that was the debate.
I think you nail a point where it's real simple that literally we go through. It's not hard to sit there and gauge whether
Echo.
There we are. Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. To gauge whether it is going to be intelligent, right? Like, I think he makes a good point that, oh, man, this thing is not wanting to work, man, for whatever reason. I got to figure out a way. Brian, I know you're in the Northeast. You come over and help me set this up and make this good. I've tried everything I know how to do to get this video thing to work.
Is it your Stream Deck for switching OBS scenes?
I don't know. I thought it was, and then I thought it was the internet. Anyways, it's just frustrating because it's not. You can see that I'm frozen here. So, but I see that just the primary thing that I think about is really this. It's just that idea that over a period of 10 years, yeah, we're going to see some big jumps. But over a period of 100 years, over the last 100 years, we've seen, and I'm talking about today, our lives have not changed much. I mean, it's changed a lot. We have AC, we have refrigerators, which is a really, really big deal. Most people don't realize how big it is. We have a library, based off of that are sit in our hands, right? And that in itself isn't. I mean, those. It's just forms have switched. Information has switched, What I want to bring up is the idea of the fourth brain that Elon Musk is trying to develop. And that idea of through neural mesh and actually how it's going to set up. Neuralink overall is set up in a way where it will be able to mass produce over people. And first and foremost, they're saying that it's going to be able to cure basically depression and major issues like people who are quadriplegic or have major issues regarding chemical imbalancement. Like it's saying that it's going to be able to balance the chemicals or reconnect nerves within the brain down into the brain stem, right? At the same time, making the brain more efficient. I think at that point, Moore's law, I think, will very much be non-existent because at that time, we go into quantum learning now. We can actually access things. And as they keep moving, like you guys know about how, a flesh can hold, the human DNA can hold it's so much, and they're creating the what do you call the I forgot what they're called, qubit or not the little things that you put into computers that basically make it run. Wow, why am I
Processors, gates.
Rods, yeah, but basically microchips. Thank you. Creating microchips that actually hold human flesh, and they actually store all this stuff on it and actually running. Now they have the ability to be able to do this. Now, are they going to be able to mass produce it? Is the ability to be able to do it right now? No. But those two things are being able to store knowledge within the human genome and be able to actually hold it, right? By putting it in our brain, to be able to establish and put it. This is and then on top of that, basically doing what the Matrix talks about, like I know Kung Fu, right? And then with that knowledge base, moving that forward and creating real AI, creating real quantum computing, right? And us almost meshing together with it. That's where I feel like that's where we're headed to.
I wanted to
Elon
add
Musk.
that. I wanted to add that they absolutely have technology that connects brains with computers. I can show you a video. The guy on YouTube did it. He did it in his garage. Okay? Do you really think with unlimited resources, governments and armies that don't have this technology?
Yes and no. I think they absolutely do, but I don't think that they're as advanced as you think they are.
What I think will happen
Because
is that the moment you will connect your brain to some computer, it won't help you because, as I said before, there are in the family, and if you are not in the family and are intelligent, you are dangerous to them. So the moment you will be connected to the machine and they can cure depression, as you said, right? It also means they know what buttons to press to cure it. So they had to develop technology to basically how to create depression too, right? And someone has this technology and has these buttons near your neurons, basically now.
so basically
Now
they're
they
gonna be able
don't.
to
They
cause.
won't have to. Yeah. Now they wouldn't have to count on you or you watching the commercials. They will transmit the commercials straight to your brain. Because all these things, what they say, we will cure this, we'll cure that. Just look at the technology. All technology we are using now was made by army for war. All of it. Like without war, we wouldn't even have this technology in the first place. So just think about it. Why would you want politicians have access to your brain, or not even politicians, because you know politicians, right?
Corporates. Yeah,
But
corporations.
this will be run by corporations. You never met those people. You will never meet these people, and you wouldn't probably even heard about these people who control it. And you want them to basically have access straight to your brain? Really?
Here's the thing, though. They already do. The reality is this: is
Remember,
that
this
they
blue
very
screen,
much do, though. They do.
right?
I mean, you drive down when you drive down the Polish highways, and you look up to the left or to the right. Okay, what are you watching? You see billboards that tell you this, billboards that tell you that. You
Yes,
go in,
but
you go into a store.
At least you can close eyes, turn off TV, turn
You
off,
cannot. You
radio.
cannot. Unless you're going to live out in the woods, unless you're going to go out there and live in the woods. Listen, they've done studies. I mean, I've studied neurolinguistic programming. I've studied hypnosis, right? Hypnosis is done in a way that's so subtle, man. You think you're literally making your own decision. Nobody here in our society, if you live in a Western society and even an Eastern society, right, that you don't make your own choices. The only person that makes their own choice is out there in the woods with nothing.
So
and I don't want to live that way.
Not food. I wanted to remind you what I told before.
Second.
Vote and free choice. Right?
Wait, what are we talking
That's
about?
what I'm talking about. It's nonsense. Because people will think they had choice, but they were brainwashed to do it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
that's
almost like you're given a
system.
quarter and you say pick a side.
Now,
but they own the
now,
quarter, is what you're saying.
Need those methods. They would just stream what they want straight to your brain. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. And I say to a certain extent, yes. And the reason why I say that is for two reasons. One, the idea though that I do believe we do have some type of society. I believe we do have some point of being able to make some point of control, right? And I know that you don't believe that, but I do believe there is some sense, because I mean, the reality is this. And if we talk about the giants, right? Yahweh came down and handled business and slapped some people around because they tried to take that away from humans, right? So ultimately, whether that entity or people are trying to rule us by proxy, we still lose the ability to be able to, that we don't lose that ability, right? By proxy, he'll come down and handle business. So that's when I'm saying that we do have some form of free will and choice. Now, what we have access to and how we get that's two different things, right?
For now.
We'll see. Yeah, and for now, we'll see. You're right. What are your thoughts, Brian? Man, we lost Batman. We've been talking so much. Batman was like, I gotta bounce. I gotta let him talk from that next time he comes on. I've been trying to get him to come in here for a while.
He was busy anyway. He said. My thoughts, man. My thoughts are that artificial intelligence is the largest threat to humankind. I mean, for a multitude of reasons. And yes, I still believe that automation and robotics will replace the majority of the remedial tasks on Earth in due time. And now the timeline is obviously shaky, but I think that technology only gets better. Like, for example, to put this in perspective, the cell phone I'm holding right now, Galaxy S22 Ultra, this phone has double the specs, it has double the RAM than my gaming PC had in high school. My gaming PC had 2 processors, 2 power supplies. I mean, was a bad to the bone unit at the time. And this phone has double the power. Gaming power has double the processing power, double the RAM. The graphics are better, and it's a phone. It fits in my hand. It's got a camera in it that is the quality of the DSLR Alpha A7C that I'm sitting next to, that I'm looking at. This camera and studio settings is almost undistinguishable from a $3,000 A7C with a nice lens on it. And to see the way technology has progressed, to look at it and say, well, in today's standards, it's not possible. I don't think it's. I think it's like not forward thinking. I think that it's almost inevitable that we have to develop at a rate that is exponential. Technology's proved that historically that's the case. At least I don't know. That's my input.
I think the Moore's law is non-existent. Mute yourself, Pedro, because you will have echo. I think the Moore's law is non-existent. It was maybe at the beginning, but I look at this like, you have to think about efficiency, They want to earn money on this. If they will develop technology, I think it's way faster than Moore's law. It's non-existent because we are developing technology way faster than they tell us, right? That's why I think that it's non-existent. Because think about it. They are making factories that are creating, let's say, processors, microchips. And then they are starting producing them. They are produced, let's say, billion, right? They are in quadrillions, but about gates. But let's say they produced 10 million microchips. Before they will allow newer technology to hit the market, they want to sell those microchips, right? Because if they will produce 10 million microchips, and suddenly, in a month, someone will come up with better microchip, why would they release it? They already, invested, let's say, $1 billion, right? They want to earn back that billion. That's why I think the Moore's law is non-existent, because they are developing technology way faster than this technology comes to us, right? You can see, if you will look up the factories that are producing microchips and hard drives, etc., they have all-time high production, but civilians are not buying it. They tell us it's scarcity now. There's everything, right?
Right. Well, scarcity based off and I know you probably will have another rebuttal to this, but scarcity based off of supply chain issues and things that are moving.
No such thing, no. They want those chips for themselves. That's my takeaway. They just look at the factories. They are selling this all the time. So this has to disappear somewhere, right? So I think the corporations and armies around the world are just building supercomputers. That's why they tell people that it's scarcity, don't buy it. There is not enough for you, because we want this, quantitative power for ourselves.
Yes, but
and besides, I think the true, like, intelligence with consciousness, they won't develop this one because they want control. Why would they basically, as you described it, create for themselves their own gods, their own god as a computer? They want to control this computer. They don't want suddenly wake up and, today we own everything. We have all banks or all armies or whatever, right? And tomorrow we don't owe anything because this computer became conscious, and it's said today you will kneel before me or you will all die, right? They will never allow it to happen. That's my take on it. That you have to think about, how they want to preserve their rule.
Okay, so the innovation.
Their rule. They won't allow it.
They want to preserve their rule and how they keep an iron hand on the world, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
And they will crush
to a certain degree.
To a certain extent.
Where does the innovation happen? It happens in the governments, but the initial innovation. But where does the real development happen? It happens in private enterprise. Yeah, I mean, you look at space travel, which I know, Gabriel, we don't agree on space, but when it comes to space. In space travel, private enterprise is traveling in space, not not governments. The governments aren't the ones that have moved us. The government
Forward.
didn't have a rocket that lands vertically. Private
By
enterprise,
itself.
3 private enterprises now have built rockets that land vertically. 3 different private enterprises.
I can tell you that I already was reading patents from to now it will be like 70 years ago. That 70 years ago they already had anti-gravity technology. It's patented. I have read patents on it.
But
They
just because
don't- we
somebody
don't-
patents something doesn't mean it exists, right? They patent a theory or an idea.
No, it wasn't theory. That's the point. It wasn't theory. They showed exactly how to construct it. We have described it in Vedas. In Vedas, there were vimanas, right? Vimanas were these flying castles, you might say. We had this technology before. We have this technology now, and they just brainwash people, with movies that we need another rocket. No, we don't. There's no such thing as let's imagine you look at your phone. You just said how it progressed, right? Now think about it. Why in 70 years we wouldn't progress from rockets to like different type of engine? Just look at the phone. In 20 years, what the change was? You really think they couldn't develop
That's
better,
the whole point, though. It's not about that they couldn't develop it. It's about developing it at scale, right? It's easy to build prototypes. It's hard to manufacture things. And the idea here, Gabriel, is that technology, the growth of technology, the rate of growth for technology is exponential. That's the thing. Is just because, like, you look at 100 years ago, just over 100 years ago, the first ever automobiles, production level automobiles, were rolling off the assembly line floor. Even though automobiles have been around for 2 decades already, nobody had produced automobiles until Henry Ford invented the assembly line, or put the assembly line in place. And this is history, Gabriel. You cannot rewrite it. It's history.
Well, history can be rewritten, but I think, like, we know that they were producing. We know that they were producing, but the reality is Henry Ford is the company that mass produced it to the poor. Right?
Yeah, there was plenty of vehicles before 1900.
Right.
Gabriel. There was plenty of
we
vehicles.
had electrical cars before 1900s.
But what I'm trying to say is the mass production that then allowed it to be able to see an innovation of it. Now, we could also argue that there hasn't been really any major add on to that technology in 100 years, right? Like, we're still using gas, right? We're not on water.
I don't mean no in the regard. Sorry, I don't mean no in the regard that there wasn't an electric vehicle. I understand there was an electric vehicle then, but nobody could mass produce an electric vehicle.
Yes.
They couldn't mass produce an electric vehicle in the 80s. They had the technology, but they couldn't produce it. Private enterprise couldn't produce it and turn a profit. Therefore, there's no point in producing it. If you can't turn a profit, then there's no point in producing it. There's 0 point. And you look at the exponential growth in vehicles, Gabriel, even in from the Model T, the Ford Model T, to a Boeing 747. Okay, you look at the exponential growth there that has to happen, and you think we fast forward another 100 years and we just stay still the whole time and we stop innovating? Is that what you think?
No, what I think is we have so advanced technology right now, we don't need rockets. That's what I think. Okay, they are pushing this rockets agenda to basically, show us that, guys, we have new rocket technology, which is literally technology from like Second World War, right? Like even before. It's like ancient technology to do this technology. That's what I'm talking about. We have so advanced technology right now, we don't need rockets. That's my point.
So what you're saying is there's kind of like how Philip in the Bible went from here to over here. You're saying that, like, beam me up, Scotty, is really what we have. Yet they haven't released that information.
I think we have so advanced technology right now. that there is no scarcity of anything. We could produce and overproduce any scarcity. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, yeah, well, you look at like food, right? The local McDonald's and Dunkin' Donut here, they throw out so much food every day, even though there's people starving. But that's because private
Engineers.
enterprise makes money off of selling that food. And if people know that they can show up at midnight and get that food for free, they won't show up at 11 o'clock anymore. They'll only show up at midnight to get that food for free. So private enterprise says no, even though it's probably the right thing for humanity for us to give this food away, we're going to sell this food. And then when we're not selling it, we're going to throw it away. And is that wrong? Maybe, but that's like, that goes into that, that goes into that, like, I suppose, kind of utopian communistic ideology that rabbit hole you can go down. But as far as rockets go, okay, to say that there's a better technology to get us to space, dude, I could not agree more. They're working on better technologies, but nothing that is reliable enough yet to outperform or scalable to outperform what rockets can provide. A reusable rocket is incredibly efficient. A rocket that can go up and then come down and land vertically, and then we can launch it 3 days later, that is efficiency. That is complete efficiency in today's standards. But Gabriel, we've had this conversation before. When you look at something like graphene that has a tensile strength, I mean, of thousand times steel, right? Where you could literally build an elevator to space with a 3-inch wide tube on either side. You could travel to space on an elevator, okay? Because of graphene technology. We don't have graphene technology that has scaled yet. We don't. Maybe the governments do, but as soon as the government figures it out, they leak a little intel to private enterprise, and private enterprise takes it and makes it a reality. Historically,
No, just look into classification of patents because of
Classifications of patents.
it's because it's dangerous to the like
Society.
internal. What was the words? Oh my, sorry. In English, it's no to the, like, you endanger the government, something like that. They use these words. I don't remember. Like, what was it?
It's something to consider.
So basically, when you have too good technology, they will classify it. They won't allow people to have it.
Declassify.
If you will give stuff classified, they won't allow people to have it officially. They will want this technology for themselves. Listen, in Poland, we have this technology, this machine that is like proton cannon. Electron. You heard about electron cannon, right? Like,
yes, yeah. It
TVs
basically sends out
Exactly.
vibrations to actually.
Yeah. So we have technology to fasten the protons, and with these machines we can cure any sickness, anything. Protons go through any tissue, right? It costs the cost of it was 700 million zloty. We have one in Poland, right? And it cures anything, because protons are positively charged, and they are bombarding with these positive ions the pathogenic tissue, which is negatively, and they can cure anything they want. It's not in their scope of helping you to have it. That's it. You are not, from their family. Therefore, you are either a worker to them or dangerous to them.
So basically, you are
They want to allow this technology to come out.
Either you're their slave or you're their family.
Yeah, that's why they think that's simple. That's why they are telling us, like Klaus Schwab, you will own nothing and be happy, right? Slave owns nothing, right? Slaves own nothing.
Yeah, so there's and just to jump back onto like with crypto and how we're seeing, we kind of detoured just a little here,
Just a little.
just a little, but it's interesting right now. So we're seeing the market here kind of go up, then now sideways. Now it's really interesting, and it's interesting to look at BNB, right? So here's the S&P 500, right? Boom, 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 boom. We're seeing it fall down. Like I said, we probably should see it come through this area here, then. The next spot, it's like these guys call me like 3 in a row, like right. Sorry, it drives me nuts. Let's check out here real quick because I think this is really important to look at. So here are the areas that I said we'll see some type of resistance. We did see resistance to this level, but like I said at the beginning of the week, if they push it up on Monday and Tuesday, we're going to hit these levels up here, which is the weekly and daily area, right? So we're going to be coming down and retesting this 50 period moving average. The 200 period weekly moving average. As we're looking at the daily, we saw a shoot up once we hit our zone here, which I talked about this on Monday, as well as Tuesday. As we came and did it, we should see it then a sell off down into this area here as we continue down. This is the S&P 500. Now, if we check out Bitcoin, right, which has innately been following the S&P 500, it is showing a little bit more strength just because we are having higher highs here, okay, within the previous, whereas the S&P 500 has had one leg down, okay, whereas this is kind of moving up, right? If we were to be similar, all these red candles would be going down to here, right, the 1500 mark, but we're not. We're kind of going sideways. So I bring this up, though, is because if you look at this, we can see that we did sell off here, but not as much as the S&P 500. But then if we look at Ethereum is showing more strength here, right? They're not as far down as the lows here. And if we look then at BNB, bro, on the day is still like it's putting in higher lows. So that just blows me away when I consider crypto and what it's doing in relationship to, the traditional markets. So that's it. That's all I want to bring up. Jumping back to some of the news that so what's your guys' thoughts on Kim Kardashian? This would be fun to actually start bringing you guys in as recap, because I talk about these news sources or these news things that are kind of headlines. But with Kim Kardashian getting hit by the Fed, or not the Feds, but the SEC, basically saying that she's not a fiduciary and she can't be going out there giving advice. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
It's important to note that she literally said #ad and not financial advice in her post.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's an overstep on the SEC's part, right? But that being said, she's the type of person that they're going to make law through litigation. They can't go through the regular course of making law, but it's just effective.
She sets precedents. They're able to set precedent.
Yeah, they can refer the Kardashian versus SEC case in future cases and use the litigation here against other people in the future and make law based off of it unless they're contested. And so she's the type of person that they're going to go after her and then she's going to say, no, screw you. I want my $250,000 or my $1.25 million. And they're going to they're going to have the DOJ put her in jail. I mean, no, she's just going to pay the fee. Right. And they knew that. So they went after her and they went after Floyd. So
Floyd. And that's when I was listening to a couple of the other spaces around Twitter, and they were saying how she's the only one. And I was like, nah, bro, there's Floyd, there's a couple other guys that they're going after. And I put it, and I think you're right. They are setting up presidents to be able to set things up down the road, right? Like the idea, and I talked about this about a week or two ago, where the SEC said basically that since 45% of the Ethereum blockchain is in America, it's ours, and so they have a right to be able to set laws and set precedents over it, right, around the world, right? Like they're trying to muscle their way in almost as bullies or as mob men, right? What are your thoughts, Gabriel? What are your thoughts on this, my friend?
I have no idea. I don't follow
Kardashian or whatever this exploit is.
Well,
Why would listen to Kardashian? Is she like
Well, no, I
fun?
wouldn't. No, I wouldn't listen to him either. But the SEC made an example out of her.
exactly.
What is
The SEC
Oh,
is
you don't know.
the Security and Exchange Commission in the United States. They regulate the stock markets and they regulate securities in places where securities are exchanged in the United States for financial regulation.
Here we go.
So
I'll pull it
internal
up here real quick
trading?
for you. So here, this is the SEC in Poland is the Poland Republic Registration Statement for Securities. So Polish Security and Exchange Commission is what you guys have in Poland. It's
This is
basically
basically like
the
internal trading.
KPWG. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's the PW or the KPWIG.
This is against internal trading.
Yes,
Or
yes.
what?
Well, it's not internal
why-
trading. It's what they do is they govern the laws on who can talk about. That's why I'm so careful, right, with how I'm saying stuff, right? Like you're not even allowed in America to talk about financial things, right, in an open area as if you are an expert. You're not allowed unless you have certain, like your Series 7, your
License.
producer's license, all these licenses that dictate, that say that you've gone through training and schooling, and so you have the ability. Yeah, you know what you're talking about, which sometimes is true, sometimes it's not. I know people who have full producer's licenses and they don't understand anything. So, like I'm
Come
just
to
like,
Ukraine, you can buy any papers you want. Like any papers you want.
exactly. Like if you got the money, you can.
Want to be a doctorate in 10 few different things, no problem.
I think to a certain extent that's true, and to a certain extent it's not. But I think that's very interesting, and I think you're right. And Brian makes a good point in the sense that they're setting precedents for down the road when they really want to come in with the hammer and sit there and say, no, this is not what's going to happen, right? And they can come in down the road and really kind of demonstrate dominance as crypto keeps progressing and moving forward.
By the way, this Kramer guy, yeah?
Kramer.
What was it?
Yes, Kramer.
Yeah.
Oh, we can talk about Kramer
His
too.
name?
Yes.
Someone posted, I found it today. Someone posted that his tweet that someone made ETF reverse Kramer.
What? There's an ETF?
ETF reversed Kramer. Because
So basically, all the stocks that he calls, they reverse.
yeah, he do it reversed. Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I don't.
He literally, I saw it, screenshot from his Twitter that he Kramer said that whoever made this ETF reverse Kramer can suck my. Literally, they were making screenshots that he's saying, "Oh, I'm bearish on this. It's going up. Oh, I'm bullish on this. It's going down."
Oh man, that's Brian. And here's the thing, man. We all understand that he is a talking head. He admitted it very, in the 2006 interview with him on the street, right? Like where he was doing that. So he, I was in your lounge. Oh no, I was in your lounge or was I in JB's lounge? Where I was talking about literally, how the market is manipulated, right? When they need to offload their positions. And this guy got very upset with me. He goes, I respected you until you said that, where I said the market is manipulated. He was like, I no longer, and I go, but you can see that my trading, the knowledge that I'm giving you works.
Yeah.
So why do you no longer respect me? Because I disagree with you. And so
people are brainwashed to the point that they don't have conversations, they get emotional, they don't agree, and
way
that's
emotional.
it. Yeah, That's it.
The
I-
emotional,
I
outbursts.
get, I understand that someone can, get into heated up conversation, but that's not the reason to, discard all your, experience and skills, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're talking about. So better listen to you, right? You know what
Right.
you're talking about. You're
Like,
showing us.
Yeah. Like, look, the market's going to do this.
It doesn't.
And I'm not saying I'm a soothsayer. It's just I look at the market like a conversation. It's talking to me. It's communicating with me back and forth.
You
So-
learn the language, yeah.
Right. Just learn the language. And I'm trying to teach you the language so that you can make better decisions on your investments. I.e., if Kramer tells you that it's going up, he's offloading on you because he's already made his profit. And he's got and he has a moon bag, right? Like, people also don't realize he also has a moon bag, right? Like, he goes in, he makes a good profit, he sells off majority of what he's doing, so he's either broke even or made really good money at it, right? And then he goes in and he leaves, a moon bag in case that stock or that, whatever. Like, here's the thing. So you sent me today Ethereum, right? The thing with, not today, but this week. Kramer talking about Ethereum. Hello?
Yeah.
And basically, his idea was real simple, right? Like, hey, it's smart to have about 5% of your portfolio in crypto, right? Ethereum, and he talks about the major coins, right? And I sat there and I agreed with him 100%, like, very much 100%, right? Like, he got into Ethereum when it was probably at, around 25 cents to $1. He probably got into it at that moment. He made a buttload of money. Okay. He started talking about Ethereum when Ethereum started going down. Okay. And started telling people, you should get into Ethereum. You should get into Ethereum. You should look into it. Right. I don't even understand it. I remember one time he said, I don't even understand it, but it went up and it does something. Right. And I have a trading friend who's been watching Kramer for almost 30 years, or however long he's been on. Right. He started watching to him. Huh? Go ahead.
Maybe he made this ETF reversed Kramer.
No. But I say this because he even said, I'm sitting there, and this gentleman is the one who got me into crypto. He's an older gentleman, brilliant man, right? And I know he's brilliant, right? So when he, as an older man in his 70s, starts talking to me about crypto, and I'm going, I need to start paying attention to this, right? But he only got into it because Kramer started mentioning certain things. As the market back in, February, March started dropping, right? And we started seeing this. Kramer started talking about literally, I own Ethereum. And what he was doing is he was offloading his stuff, right? And he has a moon bag. And I bet you $5, Kramer is out there buying Ethereum now, right? He has a ton of money. He made a ton of money, right? He sold off a lot at the top, right? And now it's coming down. And so he's an incredibly brilliant man. And his biggest genius is that he understands people because people forget.
Yeah.
People forget. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, because the reality is that you can make money off of people who forget. You can't, unfortunately. So I don't know, guys. Let's finish off some of these charts here real quick. So as you guys can see here, that the S&P 500 is continuing down. I'm expecting this to come back down to the 3607 to that to the 3590 area, which is basically at the bottom of the weekly chart. Make sure that you're following and paying attention to this right here. If we look at the daily chart here, you guys can see here that is this area down at the bottoms here. This is the beginning of the week. If this does come down there, guys, on a weekly level, you will see a fatty wick, okay, at this level. So I will then continue. I will think we will continue down on Monday, where it will go up a little like it did. We'll have some major news events, because we have more major news events coming next week. And we're going to see this turn around again and continue down. I said we have that 50-period moving average, along with some major gap area in the S&P 500. So this area here, I don't think it's going to come through this quickly. I don't think we're going to easily get through this area. I think we'll have some ups and downs here in this level right here. So that's the S&P 500, which we then jump down to our Bitcoin. And real quick, let me jump and ask your guys' thoughts on the S&P 500. And I know you do some trading too, Brian. So talk to me your thoughts.
Brian,
You there, Brian?
maybe you have to go somewhere.
Maybe. And what do you? I mean, I know you're just starting to learn a lot of this stuff here too, Gabriel. So,
Yeah, but
you
I
know.
looked at
Okay.
S&P 500, so I cannot give my opinion on it.
That's all right. I mean, your opinion is simply that is it fake, or I mean,
I think all markets are artificially pumped because the people, as I think, as you even said, right? Institutions are making money off of people, off of masses. So someone had to pump these markets before, right?
mhm.
So that's my opinion.
Yeah, they need. Like I was listening to a guy. I forget it was a Twitter account. I really like the Twitter account, and they bring up some really, really good. I bring this up. They're talking. This guy, his expertise is in crude oil. He buys crude oil. He went to college for it. He has a master's degree. I was listening to a Twitter space. He knows everything there is about crude oil. Okay, he understands it fundamentally so well, probably better than anybody in the world. Okay, I'm not saying the world, but he was saying, and he goes, listen, I make killings for my company, and the reality is this.
Billions?
Huh?
Billions?
Probably. I mean,
Like-
I don't know. Billions, trillion. I don't know how much he makes for them, but he makes a lot of money. But he brings this up in a very clear point. He simply says there are speculators in the market that keep the market, and I can't say this right publicly, but it should be doing. It's doing what it should not be doing, and at times it does what it's supposed to be doing, and other times it does what it's not supposed to be doing, and simply because you need price movement. You need people to buy and you need people to sell, and there needs to be a market to be made off of it. So the only way to do that is to cause it to move, to go into the directions and areas that it needs to go. And so if it should go down, because fundamentally everybody knows it should go down, but it's going up, okay? What's happening is institutions are going in, pushing it up purposely to draw in the fundamentalists or draw in people who want to capture that movement. And so they buy the movement up, hence then get wrecked later, right? As it comes back down at a level. And he says, there's been, and I remember listening, he was basically saying that there was a couple weeks back in 2008, right? Where actually not a couple weeks, it was about a couple months where the price of oil should have been, dropping, and the reality is it didn't. It skyrocketed during certain things, and it made no sense, like from a fundamental level. And I found it very interesting because I remember seeing that, right? Also, there were a couple of things where gold should have been dropping in 2000, or maybe rising in 2008, and it wasn't. And so there was all these speculative things happening, but they found out it was really just Goldman Sachs holding up the price of gold and or oil, and they got in trouble with it. Like they were going to get in trouble. They were going to get fined by the SEC. They knew that what they had done was going to get leaked out into the public. And you know what Goldman Sachs did? They went and shorted their own stock and made money on it dropping. Like, it's just, you're not going to win against this. So you just basically need to pay attention to their games. So
You just need to learn the game. Yeah.
Just need to learn the game, play the game.
Learn the language. And
Yeah.
who is teaching the language?
Just pay attention. It'll teach you. Like,
You are-
go into the
you are
country. Well, I don't say I teach them language because I'm just explaining the language.
Yeah, language of the market.
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, but I would say because teaching means that then if I'm teaching you in America, then what that means is basically that I need to have licenses.
No. What I'm talking about is you can learn from anyone, right?
Yes, there we go. I explain
That's
what I
what I-
think. Yeah, absolutely. So I sit there and I like right now, right? Look, we see sellers, right? We see no buyers stepping in. No buyers are stepping in, right? So what that means is everybody's short, so they're pushing the market up, right, to bring in more sellers, right, and more buyers that are going to push this market up. All these people also are short all the way down from all through here. So we'll definitely be able to see some actual markets moving and changing from these levels. So it's really interesting to see. But what's going to happen is we'll most likely see it come out and turn around again, right? I think we are coming down to these levels here. So we'll see what happens overall. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and it comes back up at the end of the day. I've seen them do that as well, where this is horrible, but all these people are short, right? And they'll push it back up, stop everybody out, and then just drop it hard at the end of the day at the close. And I'm just like,
Completely?
Huh?
Completely natural reaction, right?
Yeah, exactly. It just it's part what they do, right? Because they need orders, and so it's important to understand that. But as we look here, and Brian, what are you there, bud? Want to hit him up privately and see?
I am. I just sat back down at my desk.
How do
I
you
got to go in a minute, though, unfortunately.
views on the S&P 500. I'm going to do a quick recap of the markets.
Listen, brother, I'm bullish on everything. When people are fearful, you get greedy. When people are greedy, you're fearful. Everyone is fearful. What does that tell you? You got to be greedy. I'm bullish on everything. But then again, listen, for anybody listening, not financial advice, I have a bias because I make money when the market goes green and I lose money when the market goes red. So I personally want the market to go green, not financial advice. Buy. No, I'm kidding.
All right. So the S&P 500 here, as we can see, is definitely moving down. I feel like we're going to see it come down into these levels here, down in the 35.96, 35.90 area. We'll see what happens from there if we can take
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
Don't listen to him. It's green, baby, green. Guys, I gotta go. It's been so much fun hanging out with you.
Definitely got it.
I just
wanted to add that Brian, changed color of his wigs. It's all green. It's always green for.
It's always green.
Yeah, when we're in a bear market, I swapped the colors. Yeah, you're right, Gabriel. I swapped the color of the candles from red to green and green to red. That, or I've got 3 monitors. I take my one that I don't use all the way on the side and I flip it upside down. Okay. It makes everything so bullish, bro. So bullish. Especially when you buy. I'm really confused though, because I buy into these poo coins and I feel like I'm buying the dip, but I get wrecked every time. I'm down 90%. Maybe I'm buying the top.
Because you're hedging against yourself. On one monitor you have normal, on another monitor you have upside down.
Yes.
You're hedging yourself.
I'm hedging. You're right. I am indeed.
Have you checked out the Palm coin yet?
Palm swap? No. What did they rug immediately as soon as they launched?
No. They messed up so bad, but it is moving, and their liquidity pool keeps growing. So that's
wait a second. It was 700,000 before, like.
No. It was at 20. Remember, it was. So this is their market cap right here, and right, boom.
So it wasn't the okay.
Remember, they messed up. They messed up on the actual thing. They didn't even come out and say where they did. They said a bunch of bots came in and bought them and shot it all the way up to here, right? Is it true? I don't know. I mean, I can't sit there and say if it's true or not. but I do
Wait,
think, huh?
how they added $120,000
Right,
into the liquidity without tax? What the fuck? It must be their bots.
family
as you
friendly,
said.
family friendly. Now I've been looking, I'm paying attention. So they have been going up here, which has been really interesting, right? So as I keep watching, they shot up from 2 cents all the way over here, right, for the last few days, and we're seeing them just slowly just keep going, right? So it's really interesting to sit there and watch them go from like 1 cent, and they're adding, right? This was all a big mess up, right? That they did that happened, but as as they've been pulling up here, they went all the way down to 1 cent, even less than 1 cent, right? And then you saw this huge push, and now you're seeing this is Palm Swap. So if you guys got into this, cool. I didn't. I got into it with some money, and then I basically got screwed. But like, here's the thing though, I'm sitting there watching these guys, and like I'm wondering. I'm just like, they're already at 5 cents, and they shot up to almost 10 cents. So
I need to ask them for these bots.
well, it's
They
$120,000
$120,000 liquidity from
Yeah.
the day we were looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in addition to that, we're also seeing them because they don't have any taxes here. They don't. I don't believe they have any taxes. So
Yeah, they have the tax. That's why I'm surprised. They must be botting it against people and putting it into liquidity.
could be. I don't know. It's been really interesting. But I just want to know your thoughts on Palm Swap as well, because I know that you brought them on as well.
I thought it was a good idea, but I didn't follow them after that.
Yeah, they're doing decent. I've been paying attention to them. It's been really, really interesting to sit there. Once they opened, once Pancake Swap, you see here, man, yesterday's news pushed them up. So it was really interesting to sit here and see what's actually going on here. But somebody keeps buying, and I'm just like, this is real. I mean, this is real money. Are these just bots, you think? Or you think this is
Dev buying?
Yeah, or is this legit buying?
Who knows? On that note, I will exit the chat, ladies and gentlemen. It's been great hanging out with you.
My brother, it's good seeing you. I'll see you soon. Many blessings.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys. See you,
Later.
Gabe. See you, Pedro.
See you, brother.
See everybody listening. Peace.
Peace out. Brian from Coin Launch Lounge. All right,
Yeah,
guys. So go ahead. You
I
gotta
also
go too?
have just another AMA. Just started Anti-Raggers United. So
No worries. No worries.
thank you very much. It was a pleasure as always in here.
Always. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you on Monday.
Look this link I put you in the chat. It's about
YouTube.
the AI. Yeah.
Okay. I'll check it out.
The guy made it on the TED Talk about it.
Okay. I'll definitely check it out. Thank you for the link. All right, guys. So it was. Go ahead.
See you guys.
All right. See you, brother. Later. All right, guys. So you guys can see here right now that we're definitely seeing the market for Bitcoin finding some type of support right here. Again, I still think that we will most likely come down to this area because we aren't seeing a real trending SMA here, but we could see some form of sell off and then a little bit of a rally creating a higher low. So just giving you guys heads up, that is something that we could see and or see it push down into our lower levels here at the end of the day. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But Ethereum here, again, is honestly showing a little bit more strength as we can see it bounce off of that 20-period moving average. We very much could see this kind of hold here, right? Because, I mean, crypto is showing some strength overall in comparison to the traditional markets here. BNB, same thing. Like I said, I've been talking about its strength here, been just coming in and playing off of this 120-period moving average as it's putting in its buyer wicks. And like I said here, we don't have any seller wicks up here. So for me, I definitely see it continuing up into these levels here. So it's really interesting to see if it does, if it stays down. But you can see in comparison to the actual chart itself, you know, that we're at the lows of Ethereum, and we're especially at the lows of Bitcoin, whereas we actually have a pretty decent buyer weight on BNB here, right? So it's another interesting thing to be looking at. And additionally to that, we can definitely see here, let's check out XRP here. XRP is showing pretty good strength in comparison to that rest of the market. You can see here that it's rallying pretty hard off of these levels. We saw it playing off of this 50 and as well as 100 or 200 period moving average on the higher time frames. So for me, I'm sitting there going, it's using this as support and continuing up. So this has been a pretty crazy few days to be able to see what's actually going on. I know that they're talking about the XRP trial being over here soon, so we'll see what happens there. It's going to be really interesting as we continue to move forward into the year. Will XRP see its all-time highs? You know, it did not have an all-time high after the 2022 peak with Bitcoin, right? It did not have that rally because of the suppression of the actual court case that was actually going on. So it's really, really interesting to see what's actually going on there. View notifications. Give me 1 second, guys. I am getting all these little dings here. There we are. So it's just really interesting to see here. Now let's check out another chart here. I was listening to a few things on Solana, and it's really interesting because they're going through and they're basically bringing up certain aspects of how are they going to compete with Apple. You know, like Apple has trillions of dollars, trillions. And I actually had to sit there and listen to that going, you know what, they're making a very good point, right? Like that phone where, you know, H&T is looking to play with, you know, it's going, you know, that flies in the face of Apple, right? It could very much. I mean, if you look at, and they bring up the idea that if you look at Microsoft, they created a fabulous phone as well, but it fell right on its face, right? Like, and this is Microsoft, right? It's not like they're this chump little startup, right? And they put, you know, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to create the phone, and they fell right on their face. So to sit there and say Solana is going to move forward with it or not, I don't know. It's going to be a David and Goliath battle here, right? Where you're going to see, you know, whether, you know, how are they going to move forward in this? So something that's very interesting, which as I think about it, you know, it's the podcaster, and I forget the exact podcaster. Let's see if I can pull it, if I can remember it. It was a great conversation because it actually had the Cardano, I believe, CEO talking about this. And it might be biased because it's the Cardano CEO. But he brought up some really, really strong points. And it's something to sit there and really consider in regards to Cardano, in regards to Solana. So it's give me 1 second, my history here. It was Charles Hutchinson interview with Cardano. The actual, it's Thinking Crypto News and Interviews is the actual podcast that I was looking at and listening to. So check it out. It was actually a really good one. It's the one that just popped out today. It's in about 4 hours. So check out that one there. It's a pretty good thing on Solana. But I'm still fairly bullish on Solana because I'm a David and Goliath type of guy, and I think that they are going to come through. I think the crypto community will support that. And knowing that you're going to be able to mine H&T and other coins out there based off of that phone. The phone will pay you instead of you paying it. So we've seen other organizations out there really do a great job with this, right? you know, the biggest taxi company, right, owns no taxi, right? The biggest production of movies and stuff right now, you know, Netflix doesn't have real studios, right? Like, so it's a strange thing. Actually, they might own studios now because they're so rich now, but they started off, you know, with a subscription base, right? And everybody flocked to them because they had good content, and they bought a bunch of cheap stuff and aired it for everybody who wanted to watch it. So it's just interesting to sit there and see how this is going to play as we move forward in the market. Again, we're sitting here, we're bouncing off of this demand zone here, this weekly demand zone as we're playing here. I believe that this was, oh, excuse me, monthly. No, it's weekly. Boom. Here we go, right here. It should be down here. It's actually, I don't know what happened. Maybe I moved it accidentally. But this is the area that we are looking for it to come in and base between our upper and our lower zones here. We'll find out if they do continue up. It'll be real interesting what happens here. When we look at ADA, Cardano, speaking of them, here they are. Oh, I'm so good. See, guys, I didn't do it. It frustrates me. I didn't do it, man. I need to move all these to the same thing. You know, I can actually do it right now as we're moving. So I can grab XRP. Actually, just do it here. XRP. Let's go and move this up here. That is right below. And then we have Solana. Here it is. So you guys are going to have to sit there and watch me look for it anymore. It will just simply be right there. It's funny. I jump off this, and then I have so many other calls and things that I got to stay up on. And it's just interesting that I don't keep up on it. Solana, and then now we're going to go to ADA. So ADA should be right there. Boom. Next one's going to be Doge. So then DOT. Y'all like, dude, come on, bro. Here we go. And then the next one here is, boom. Oh, wow. They did a huge sell-off. Wow. XY. Oh, snaps. I like it. I like it. I see a buying opportunity that is nice for myself. For myself. Again, it's not financial advice, but definitely am looking for something of that nature. Some big buys over here last night. Some real big buys. Interesting. Maybe somebody knows something. Really, some really big buys. I know that the CEO also was on another podcast that I was listening to, and he was actually talking about some of the stuff that they actually have going with it. So it was actually pretty dope. Maybe there's some big whales that listened to that podcast and bought in. So the next one is going to be DOT. Here we go, DOT. DOT. And then Matic. Matic right here. And then the last one would be Sheb here. Here we go. All right, so now they're all, now Gabriel won't yell at me. All right, guys, so we were just pulling up Solana. Now let's check out ADA here real quick. ADA here is showing some pretty good strength as we're now continuing up. That's a 5 minute. Let's pull the daily here. We are following that 8 period moving average. We're still in this demand zone on that weekly area here. Something to be paying attention to as we keep, or is this a monthly? looks like a daily zone right here, so that needs to be changed to a daily. You can see we're still playing in this, but it looks like it's definitely weaker in this area, so we can definitely see this come down into that 40 cent, 39 cent area for Cardano. At least I'm pretty positive we'll see this. And then the next one, where are my other? I need to go through and pull them up on our friendly chart on crypto or coin market cap here. So you guys can see here that as we're probably continuing down here. Dogecoin right here, as we're playing here in these markets, this is what's really interesting. Dogecoin is showing abnormal strength here, just simply because it's like you can see that the buyers, a ton of buyers here, a bunch of sellers, but we're coming down into buyer levels here. Let's check out the smaller time frame, see if we see some buyers stepping in as well. This will be really interesting. Now, I did bring up the fact that we would probably come back down into these areas here where buyers are sitting. You can see that we've been slowly kind of coming through and following this. So I would definitely look for a retracement back up, but also be paying attention to the 8 trending moving average on that 30-minute. Or let's see, which one is it really playing off of? Yeah, it's really that 2-hour moving 8 average, guys. So make sure as we pull back up into these levels, you want to see it close above, find support, and then move up with Doge if you're going to expect this to be moving higher. These are the lower levels that I expected to come back down to, though, back in the 605 area to the 6 or to the 59 area here, 58 area for Dogecoin, for at least to get more buyers at these levels. As we're looking at the descent, are we seeing buyers or sellers step in? Again, we see a mix of both, you know, where you see buyers and sellers, buyers, sellers. So again, this is a liquid contract here, man. These babies are buying and selling. There's a war going on here. So it's actually pretty nice to sit there and see. From here, let's check out DOT. DOT again is starting to go down here. Like I said, we're bouncing off of this weekly or monthly zone here. So it's definitely showing still weakness because of that big seller wick that we had the previous week here. So as this continues down, if it does, right, we need to be mindful of what is actually going on with the wicks, right? Are we seeing more buyers or seller wicks? Hence, it's kind of hard because the actual way it's actually being traded. This is definitely algorithmic trading here. So yeah, and it seems like it's, yeah, I don't know. I can't really gauge what's actually going on here. Sorry about that. But I don't know. But I would say follow that 50 period moving average if you're considering. As you can see that wherever it's been been following it pretty strong. The 50, 89, and 100, right? So it's something to be paying attention to. I'd rather look at a higher time frame. We can sit there and see on a higher time frame that it is pretty much right now following that 8 period. Let's check out the 1 hour. It's 2 hour here, 4 hours. So yeah, it's really more or less that 2 hour. Actually, more like 1 hour. We're pretty much playing within the last day. We've been trading off of that 1 hour zone there, or 1 hour 8 period moving average. So be paying attention to that, guys, as we start to move down into the demand area here where we're still buyers. Again, this is an area that has been already tested. So this area here most likely will not see a lot of resistance when we start to have a big sell-off within crypto, okay? Let's go into the Matic here real quick. Matic is showing some major strength here as we can sit there and see it. We are finding support at these levels that was previous resistance. Now comes support. It's going to be really interesting to sit there and see what's actually going on here. I'm interested to see, are we going to come back down into our weekly moving averages here, which is the 8, where we're going to find support, and also Monday, as well as coming down to that weekly 8-period moving average. Now, to me, the fact is that we don't have any real sellers or real buyers down in this level makes me think that it might want to come back down into this area and find support between the 8 and 20, which is at 81 cents and 79 cents as we continue, if it continues decides to go up. This would be my first area of shorting this, to be trying to catch at least down to here. My second level would be down at the 77 mark here. But again, this is another one that is defying the odds. Like I've said, Bitcoin is down at this level, as well as Ethereum, right? And BNB. So we're seeing Poly being pretty strong here. Now let's go and look at Shiba Inu here real quick. Actually, let me just pull to the smaller time frames here real quick. As we are continuing down, if it does continue down, we want to kind of know which trendy mechanism is it following, right? So as I'm looking, I really do see more or less the turnaround kind of starting at that 4-hour chart here, just simply because you can see here that we did try to test it. I wasn't able to come up to it, and it is on the crossover that we are seeing some major sells. So if we cross by the end of this, by the end of today, we fully cross this and we start to see a sell-off, it's coming down to here, I would think by the time next week easily, if not further, down in these levels here like I've talked about. So that's it. And then we have one more, Shiba Inu. Shiba Inu, though, is much different than Doge here. They are showing weakness here a little bit more now than ever before. And to bring this up, right, like we know that this area is a nice area, but these lower levels here are really the areas that I'm looking to actually eat, right? So we'll see what happens if it comes low at these lows here, and see what happens with Shiba Inu at these points. All right, guys, that's it in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions, concerns, you guys know you can always reach me in Moonrock by just going into our Telegram and just connecting, just type in, hey, Pedro, I have a question for you, and just answer, or say, hey, can you look at XYZ coin? I have no problem going through and doing that for my viewers. I'm going to post our link here in the actual chat, so you can always find me there. That is our official website. Now, granted, I am a dev with Moonrock, and so it's one of the things that we're looking to do. We're looking to become the plumbing of crypto, and we're doing some pretty awesome stuff with it. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, concerns, please reach out to me. You know how to get a hold of me. And thank you for your time. Many blessings. Bye.